Hello everyone and welcome to Tea with Aneuryn. I almost forgot what this was called for a second. Hello everyone, welcome to Tea with Aneuryn here on Aneuryn Plays. This is going to be the first of what I hope will be many just chatting streams as we continue on into the future. I want to do more. I don't want to do more gaming streams. Gaming streams are going to be relegated to the evening. But I think today has been pretty good, actually. I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. I think maybe I got at most 4 hours. At most. Probably more like 3. Doing a lot of tossing and turning last night because I was worried about today's stream. And you know, that's always the thing, you know, when you're doing an early stream and then it you can't sleep because you're concerned about doing an early stream, right? Hang on a second, something's not right here. Hang on, there's something wrong with my live chat. Hang on. Have YouTube screwed it up again? I think they have. Hey Lainey, welcome to the stream. How you doing? Watching at work. Oh dear. My live chat's not working. That is their MO. Yeah, it does seem to be. Hang on a second. Let me see if I can fix this. I don't know why it's not working. It's not scrolling on my screen. Let me just quickly take a look at this. Hang on. Okay, let's try test. There we go. Okay, it's working now. It wasn't automatically scrolling. I think that's what the issue was. For some reason, chat wasn't scrolling. Sick. There we go. Problem solved. Fixed. Easy. No worries. Raise his hand high five, Kiko in middle class economy. Oh no. Oh man. Yeah, right? It do be like that sometimes. Yeah, I'll give you one too. There we go. I'm working from home as well. I don't know if streaming could be called middle class economy though. I think. Hang on a second, there's something else that's not working now. Hang on a second. Look at the like and subscribe little thing won't go away. Oh no. Now what? Alright, you know what? I'll just turn that off. I'll fix that later. I'm not dealing with that now. Go away. Oh, goodness. OBS has just had an update, and so not everything works the way it used to. So I think it's more that there's an OBS update rather than it's a YouTube thing. So I'm definitely going to have to take some time on the weekend. I may have to take an extra day off, now that I think about it, because the last time I had to do this, the last time I had a lot of issues with YouTube and OBS, I did have to take 2 days to get everything fixed. So we'll see how it goes. At this point in time, I don't feel like I will need to, but I'll let everyone know. You can't spell OBS without BS. This is true. This is true. Hey, Hellfire, welcome to the stream. How you doing today? Early stream. Yes, yes. Yes, I want to be able to do these just chatting streams. a little bit early in the day. One of the things that I've been wanting to do with just chatting streams is basically take some of the pressure off of my gaming streams, you know, because we do talk a lot in the gaming streams, you know. We chat. It usually takes up anywhere between an hour to 2 hours of the gaming streams. And what I want to do is I want to try to compartmentalize. I want to make longer just chatting streams like this. And then I want to go into the gaming streams later and, you know, play video games. So this is the first step along that route. One of the things that really impressed me about YouTube, about midway through last year. Oh no, sorry, it wasn't midway through last year. That's not. It was a bit earlier than that. I received an email saying that YouTube were playing around with a new redirect system. So basically, that means that if I was to start a stream, and then I have another stream right after it, you can set up an automatic redirect when you create the stream room to immediately just jump across to the second stream, which I've played around with and it works. It sends your entire chat over to the second stream just like you would with Twitch with a raid. It's essentially a raid. And you can set things up to raid other people, but I looked at it as the possibility of, well, I could do a just chatting stream and then raid straight into my gaming stream. And maybe if there was like a half an hour difference of time between them, I could do as long of a just chatting stream as I want to, then raid into a gaming stream. And I thought that would be a pretty cool idea. For now, though, we're not doing that. At the moment, what we're doing is I'm going to do about 3 hours of my stream here. Then we're going to have a gap, and then we'll do the 6 p.m. gaming stream as usual. But in the future, if we do go over, if we end up, you know, spending a long time chatting, maybe we get stuck in on a topic that's really interesting, then I don't want to just like end the stream. It's like, no, we gotta stop now. It's over. It's 3 hours. It's been 3 hours already, you know? So that's what we're gonna do. If we go a little bit over, that's fine. You know, I've still got time to go get myself food and then come back and then start the next stream. But yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to see if that'll work, and maybe in the future we can do the streams back to back instead, and then I can raid from one stream into another, which would be really cool. It would be a really cool way of doing it. One of the other things that we're probably going to be doing in the future is working out some... what's the word I'm looking for? Collaborations as well. I want to do some sit-down chats with people. So at the moment, you may notice that we're just using the regular Aneuryn Plays background. We're using the set from Aneuryn Plays. I will be setting up a new one specifically for the Tea With Aneuryn stream, and hopefully we can turn it into something of a podcast and we can have some guests on as well. We'll see how that goes. I don't know if it will necessarily work. If it does, we'll go with it. If not, we'll think of something else. But I am planning on potentially expanding this further, so it's not just a chatting stream, but it's a chatting stream with guests, with the community, and we can all just sit down and have tea with Aneuryn. I hope that sounds like something that you'd be interested in, because, well, that's what I'm doing, so yeah. Am I still playing a game today? I will be, yeah. I'll be playing a game later on this evening, at 6 p.m. We're going to be playing... What are we playing today? Resident Evil. Tonight might be the last episode of Resident Evil, actually. I don't know. If considering we're doing this chatting stream, Resident Evil might be, you know, we may have more time, maybe a bit longer, and therefore we might get it done. We might finish it tonight. I don't know. I'm not really sure. That mug, I know it's a plain black mug. We're gonna be doing some playing around, and we might swap out the mug occasionally. I've got a Majora's Mask mug in real life, which I might have Kiko draw for me. Oh man, I do love a nice hot cup of tea. It's not just a gimmick. It's not just a name for the stream. I do actually enjoy a good cup of tea. I'm at the moment, I'm drinking Yorkshire Tea Gold. It's the same tea that the Spiffing Brit is constantly going on about. And I do recommend it. If you can get hold of Yorkshire Tea Gold, especially in the UK, in the US, it's a little bit more difficult to find. If you've got a supermarket, it's a little bit, you probably won't find it at Walmart. But like, if you've got a slightly higher end supermarket with a international section, you might find Yorkshire Tea Gold, and I strongly recommend it. Yorkshire Tea Gold is really good. And they also do, I don't know if they still do it, but they also have a tea that is called Proper Strong. It's called Yorkshire Tea Proper Strong. And and it boy, is it really is. They're not even joking about that. It is proper strong. It's like a black coffee of tea. It's crazy. It's really good. I love it. It's delicious. And it's not like strong and bitter and oh, I can't drink that. You know, it's strong, but it's a bold, rounded flavor, and it's quite delicious. Yeah. Mug just needs to have a new PNG superimposed over each time. I would love to be able to do that, but there is one slight issue with the PNG tuber engine that I'm using. It doesn't really allow you to do that. But I am kind of thinking about potentially maybe could be, I don't know. I'm not putting any, you know, finer points on that. I want it to be as vague as possible, because I don't know if it's something I can do. But one of the things that I'm looking into the possibility of doing is creating my own PNG tuber program. And if I do that, then I will set it up in such a way that I'll be able to include stickers and things. Because Kiko has made a bunch of stickers for me when I was still doing YouTube on just a PNG, you know? When I just had a static PNG image. Kiko made a bunch of really cool stickers. I can show you some of them. Let me just call some up. Character art objects. There we go. So I've got like I've got a Metroid that Kiko drew for me. I've got, I really like this Metroid as well. I just wish he could like bobble around a bit on his own, and I can't make him do that, unfortunately. So we got ourselves a little Metroid. I've got a hat. This was for when we were playing Stardew Valley. I've got some Kit Kats. That's way too small. Kit Kat. Because I used to have a Kit Kat counter. I used to have a Kit Kat counter. For every Kit Kat I ate during a stream, I would put up a Kit Kat counter. But I don't have that anymore. Right, I might be able to do that in the future. I haven't had, I gotta be honest, I have not had Kit Kats in a while. So, if we do start getting Tokyo Treat, we were talking about Tokyo Treat yesterday. If we do get Tokyo Treat again, I will absolutely be putting up the Kit Kat counter. European G, a pretty nice guy. Pink Neanderthal genome. Yeah, that one's more accurate. Yeah. But yeah, Kiko made a bunch of these, but unfortunately we can't really do anything with them because, like this one, for example, it's a helmet for playing Mario Kart. Oh, wow, that's huge. It's a helmet for playing Mario Kart, but you'll notice immediately what the problem is. Notice how I'm moving, but the helmet isn't. That's an issue. So what I want to do is I want to make, if I was going to make a PNG tuber avatar engine myself, it would be very basic, right? It would be very simplistic. But one of the things I would want from it would be the ability to add stickers onto the model itself. So when the character moves around, the stickers move with them. But also, like, program in different animations to put on different layers. So I can have my character just kind of drifting around the way he does. But then I could have this, like, bobbing up and down like that, you know? Without me having to actually manually move it with the mouse, because that's what I'm currently doing. But yeah, I've looked into it because I really like 𝗦𝘄𝗶𝘁𝗰𝗵. Sorry, 𝗦𝘄𝗶𝘁𝗰 is the one I'm using as my PNG tuber engine. I really do like 𝗦𝘄𝗶𝘁𝗶, and I have donated to it because I like it, I use it, I encourage it. It's a very simple but a good engine, you know. That's one of the things. Like, I'm not saying that it was easy to make. I'm saying it's a simple to use, you know. And I've looked into it, and apparently a lot of people just make their own PNG tuber engine. Supposedly, it's not that difficult. I don't know how difficult it would actually be, and I mean, it depends if you're making it for people to use, or if you're making it for yourself. Because if you're making it for yourself, it doesn't need to look pretty, you know? But then if you're making it for other people, it needs to be user-friendly, so that other people can use it, and I think that if I was going to be making one just for myself, I wouldn't even bother with a graphical user interface. I would just set things up, type things in, and away we go, you know? But, yeah, that's something I would like to do in the future, but I can't make any promises on it on account of the fact that I don't know if I have the necessary skills. And if I don't have those, then there's not a lot I can do about it. Bye bye, Metroid. They were all really jank because it was funny to me. Oh yeah. So they were designed to look more like a clip art sort of thing, like a clip art sort of style, rather than them being like super serial. These are the best things ever, you know? How does one get a Kiko? Is there a perfect wife distribution system like there are for cats? Unfortunately, no. Unfortunately, that is not how that works. It would be nice for all the lonely people out there if there was a Kiko distribution system, but that is sadly not the way it works. Aneuryn's tea advocacy is reminding me of a joke a comedian made about imperialism, saying the British was going around giving people the ultimate death or tea. That is true, yeah. That is actually 100% true, yeah. I do remember... Oh my goodness. I feel like I've heard that one. Ooh, no. Yeah, I think I've heard that one. I think I've watched that stand-up show. And I'm trying to think who it might have been, because... Oh, man. Because I've definitely seen a stand-up show where it was, where they talked about English imperialism. Yeah, and they were talking about, yeah, okay, I think it was it the same stand-up show where it was, the way it works is, do you have a flag? No. Well, we have a flag. If you don't have a flag, it doesn't count. This is our land now. If only I had a funny accent, I'd be able to bag anyone like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah. But I don't know about funny accent. I don't think my accent is funny. But there we go. I think that probably because I come from a place where everyone sounds like this. But Lainey, you come from a place where everyone sounds Australian. So, I mean, go to America. If you go to America, who knows? Maybe you can find yourself a girl that is really into the Australian accent. I remember my best friend getting hit on for his accent by some American girls on Skype. I was there too with the same accent, FML. Oh no! Oh no! Hey, I tell you what. You've met me, Lainey. I am not the most attractive pencil in the room. I wasn't really, I wasn't there looking for a date, but I was doing quite well when I went to Texas. Yeah. I was doing quite well in Texas. I'm short. I'm 5'6". I'm 5'6". I'm not the prettiest, like I said, pencil in the room. And, but I do have an accent. And, I was getting a lot of attention when I was out in Texas. So, you know. You may not be an attractive pencil, but you and Kiko were meant to be. Oh, I don't know how I feel about that. On one hand, I want to be, oh, that's cute. On the other hand, I want to slap you. To be. And it's funny because, you know, if I was going to point at the most attractive pencil in the room, it probably would be my statue of 2B. Kiss me, then punch me, I don't know. There's a song about that, isn't it? Kill me like you love me. Yeah, kill me like you love me. Kill me like you love me. Yeah, by Aaron Lewis. Aaron Lewis used to be the lead singer of Stained. You know, does anyone remember Stained? He is Fred Durst's cousin. He went from being like a you know, white boy angst, alternative rock kind of band like Stained was, to doing country music. It seems to be the move, you know. A lot of musicians and artists from like the 90s kind of transitioning into country musicians. You see it a lot the other way around. You look at someone like Taylor Swift, for example, or the band Perry. They started off, and Lady Antebellum as well. They started off as country musicians, and then they transitioned into pop. Or in the case of band Perry, they just transitioned into bad. So, yeah. I think a lot of artists see country music as an easy win because there's such a strong community when it comes to country music, you know? Everyone loves country music. Sorry, no, not everyone loves country music, but everyone in country music loves each other and promotes one another, stands up for one another. It's a very strong community. And so a lot of people can get a lot of attention real fast. Like, you look at someone like Lady Antebellum, for example. When they first appeared on the scene, it was, like, immediately in with a bunch of other country musicians. Same with Zac Brown Band. As soon as Zac Brown Band, you know, started releasing albums, they were friends with Alan Jackson, they were friends with Jimmy Buffett, they were friends with Lady Antebellum for a while. I don't know if they... I imagine they still are. But there's a lot of interactions, a lot of communication, and a lot of support for one another. And I feel like that means that some people see country music as an easy in to the music industry as a whole. And a lot of people do abuse that and exploit it, you know? That they will go, oh, I want to be a country musician. And then once they're famous, they go, well, now I'm going to do the stuff that I actually want to do. And that's very disappointing. I find that is, I like country music. You know, I'm a big fan of country music. There's a lot of artists that I think talk about topics that are very close to my heart in many ways, and things that I think about, things that I worry about, and I like to know that there are other people that feel the same way. Aaron Lewis, I don't necessarily agree with everything he talks about, because he does do a lot of political stuff as well. I'm not necessarily in lockstep with everything Aaron Lewis says, but to know that there are other people out there that think about these same topics, even if we don't necessarily agree on you know, which side of the aisle we are coming from on some of those topics, or the conclusions we come to for some of those topics. It's still nice to know that there are people thinking about that, and I'm not the only one worried about it. And I think that's what Frayed at Both Ends, Aaron Lewis's album, which has Kill Me Like You Love Me. Frayed at Both Ends is very political, and like I said, don't necessarily agree with everything that's on there, but it's an album about desperation. It's an album about fear for the future. It's an album about, I don't know what the hell is going on right now. Can someone fill me in? And I definitely feel that way sometimes when looking at politics and the state of the world in general. And so, yeah, I think that's one of the things that there used to be in there is a country music channel here in Australia, and I used to watch it like all the time when we had Foxtel. And the country music station had an advert, which was asking different musicians what's so special about country music. And they said that, and the ones that hit me was, it's country music is folk music. It's the music of the people. It talks about what people actually think. It talks about what people actually feel. Its hopes, its fears. And it's not sugar-coated. And that's why country music is so important. And that one really struck a chord with me. That was something that really landed with me. And I do think that's true. I think that there's a lot of people that meme on country music, and they're just like, oh, it's like ding 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 ding. You know, it's just banjos and rednecks and, you know, stuff like that. And it's just like, no, you misunderstood the point. You misunderstood the point. And I do recommend, you know, if anyone wants recommendations for country music, hit me up, because I've got a lot. I've got a lot of recommendations for good country music. Zac Brown Band. Let me start off with Zac Brown Band, because those guys are absolutely incredible. It's such a, like, a high energy, happy sound. They're definitely more like beach country or Gulf country, like the same sort of music that Jimmy Buffett used to do, but it's more high energy. I mean, there's a lot of high energy stuff that Jimmy Buffett did, you know, like Margaritaville. But I feel like he's got a lot of slow contemplative stuff as well, like Son of a Sailor was it's just an absolutely phenomenal track, but also an amazing album that Jimmy Buffett did. And I think that Zac Brown Band is like that. They've got a lot of real high energy stuff. They got a lot of beach sounding music, and then he's got he does have some contemplative stuff as well, like Colder Weather. Colder Weather is just heartbreaking. Yeah. I do love some of the slow, really sad stories that country can actually utilize. I love the sound of slide guitars. Like, they sound like they're crying a lot of the time. And I love it. Oh man, such a good sound. I like sound texture. Sound texture is something that appeals to me, and I think that country has some very unique textures that a lot of other music doesn't have, because as soon as you stick a slide guitar in literally anything, it suddenly becomes, or a steel guitar, as soon as you stick a steel guitar into anything, it immediately sounds country, you know? As soon as you stick a banjo into something, it immediately sounds country. So I think that, you know, there are some instruments that really stand out as being a country music sound. You don't need a steel guitar, you don't need a banjo for country, but as soon as those things are in there, it's like, bang, that's a country song. And it's got an excellent texture to it, which I genuinely love. Lone Star. Lone Star were one of the bands that really got me into country music, because they had a hit in the UK called Amazed. Probably everyone knows the song Amazed. But the version of it that released in the UK was changed. They removed all the slide guitars and they put piano in instead. So when I got the album and I listened to it for the first time, I wasn't expecting the slide guitar. And then all of a sudden, I realized that this was the better version. You got that intro, that, you know, the classic slide guitar intro to a song. And it just, I was like, oh, this is what I've been missing? Holy crap. And yeah, it was I much prefer the album version to the single version. My friend he wanted me to listen to an AI album. Oh, okay. After listening to a couple tracks, I didn't like it and want to hear the rest. And I feel like he wanted me to listen and like it more. it can be difficult. Look, I think it's fair to say, hey, look, I don't want to listen to an AI album because it's not real. But I do understand where you're coming. Well, I understand where your friend is coming from, because I'm talking about country music and no one likes it when I do. Notice how chat has gone quiet since I started talking about country music. I like all kinds of music, but some genres of music is not for everyone, and I feel like that's one of those situations where sometimes you just gotta accept that not everyone is going to like the same things as you, and you can't expect other people to, you know. I like the 𝗦𝘄𝗶𝘁𝗰𝗵s. The 𝗦𝘗𝗶𝗁𝗻s were pretty good. Yeah. I got no problem with the 𝗦𝘗𝗶𝗁𝗻s. There was, there is actually... No, I'm not saying you... Ronald, don't take that personally. I'm not talking about you, alright? It's just that... Yeah. It's just one of those things. It's like, oh, every time I talk about country music, bang, it goes quiet. Because no one cares. No one wants to listen to country music, it seems. And that's fine, because, you know, some people I can reach out to and I can say, hey, you should listen to this. And they'll go and they'll listen to it. And they will like it. But there are some people that won't, you know? And they turn off. And that is a reality of the situation. Not everyone wants to listen to country. And that's fine. That's up to them. They are fully within their right to be wrong. The devil went down to Georgia is in my playlist. How dare you? Yeah, exactly. Right? Devil went down to... Oh my goodness. What a classic, man. And that's the thing. I don't just like the new country stuff. Obviously I would talk about Zac Brown Band until the cows come home, because they're amazing. You've probably heard Chicken Fried. Chicken Fried is an amazing song. Let me tell you how to bond with customers when you're working in a convenience store, right? Every time Chicken Fried came on the radio, I would sing along, and people in the chat. Wow. Okay. I've definitely gone native as a streamer. People in the store would join in and sing with me. We would sing together in a chorus, singing Chicken Fried by Zac Brown Band. That is a song that brings people together. Amen. I love Chicken Fried. Chicken Fried's incredible. You went to see the 𝗦𝘗𝗁𝗻s in 2011. Oh, wow. That's really cool. Yeah. I've never been to a country musician. There have been a couple that came out to Australia. I wanted to go see Alan Jackson, but it was like $300 a ticket. And I'm like, I love Alan Jackson. Don't get me wrong. I genuinely, like, his music is fantastic. I'm not spending $300 on a ticket, right? That ain't happening. That was ridiculous. And he did, you know, I guess I kind of understand it to a certain extent, because, you know, he's coming to Australia. There's a big part of that is shipping all of his junk out here, because he needs all his music and all his speakers and everything that he brings with him everywhere he goes. But it's still, that was a big asking price, and we couldn't quite afford it. So we ended up missing Alan Jackson. I don't think he's ever going to come out here again. Alan Jackson's getting older now, and, yeah. We already missed one concert this year. Because, the Midnight were coming back out here, and we didn't go to see them again. And I did want to see them, but I completely forgot about it. I listened to Home Free, country a cappella group. I do know Home Free. listen to some of their songs. I mostly listen to Home Free, like, in passing, because, like, I'll put on a country mix, and it'll, Home Free will be in there somewhere. But, I do know them. I don't think I've ever sat down and listened to them. Traveling Wilburys, I know the name. That's about it. I look at country as being a very American thing. Country, more like my country. Like I said, I think that the advert in the Australian country music channel was exactly correct. It's a song of the people, you know. It's a sound of real stories and real people, not just you know, pop is very manufactured. It's not real. They sing songs about stuff that nobody feels. And I think that country is different in that case. It's the sound of the people. It's the voice of the people. It's same as folk music, you know? You're making me want to get KFC for lunch. Stop it. Yeah. But we do have Australian country. If you're interested, look up 𝗦𝘄𝗶𝘁𝗰. You might not like his music. You might not like his accent. He's got a very strong nasal Australian accent. Otherwise, you know, look up the man himself, Slim Dusty. Slim Dusty has got some amazing music. Lights on the Hill is an absolute banger. Yeah. Definitely check out Lights on the Hill by Slim Dusty. That's a great song. I've been to a few concerts in my Claymont. Midnight Oil, nice. Man, I would like to go see Midnight Oil. Should I buy this Nintendo console or a single concert ticket? Exactly. That is exactly where I was at. That was exactly where I was at. It's like, the Switch is coming out soon. Because this was back in, like, 2016. I'm like, the Switch is coming out soon. Do I want to go see Alan Jackson? I think we also just went... We just went to see Iron Maiden. So... And we were planning to go see Ozzy Osbourne. And so it was a case of, do I want to see Ozzy Osbourne? Or do I want to see Alan Jackson? We also tried to go see Fleetwood Mac, but unfortunately the tickets sold out. Yeah. I'm really gutted about the Fleetwood Mac one, because I'm never going to be able to see them again. Not, you know, real Fleetwood Mac, you know? With Christine McVie gone, and, it's just not Fleetwood Mac anymore, you know? Yeah. The Midnight changed to a bigger venue and ticket prices doubled? Ooh, ow, okay. I still wanted to go see him, alright? I still wanted to see the Midnight again. I freaking love the Midnight. So I think I would have paid to go see him again. I like the Slim Dusty and Wiggles crossover. There was a Wiggles oh, okay. I don't know. I'm not really big on the Wiggles, I gotta be honest. It's not something I really know much about. The Wiggles is a very Australian thing, I think. We didn't have the Wiggles on television in the UK, so yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we did have a bit of a difficult time with bills at the beginning of this year, but hopefully things will be a little bit better going forward now. I'm not making a huge amount of money on YouTube, but I'm making some, and that's going to really impact the what we've got going for us right now. Definitely a plus, definitely a huge bonus to be to be earning something on this platform. I want you guys to know you've made a difference. You've changed a lot of things for us. And I can't thank you enough. Really, genuinely, I can't thank you enough. We are in the process of getting out of debt. We don't have a huge amount of debt. It's actually quite small now. Just a couple of not a couple of credit cards. Just a credit card that we need to pay off. And once that's done, it's gonna be a bit smoother sailing now. All thanks to you guys. So, for real, seriously, thank you. You've made a huge difference in our lives. This is why I say I could never thank you enough, because every time you do contribute, every time you do something, every time you add a membership, every time you gift a membership, every time you send a little bit of cash, it does impact us in a real way. And it really does mean a lot. If you like country, does that also mean you like barbecue? Absolutely. To the extent that I am very critical of people who use gas. You shouldn't be using gas for your barbecue. If you want the best taste, you want coal or wood. Don't use. Actually, you don't want to use too much wood. Actually, you kind of want coal with wood chips in there. So if you want to add some flavor, like applewood is a great one. Get applewood wood chips for smoking, right? And you put your coals in. You get the coals nice and hot, and then you put your applewood chips in with the coals as well, and it gives it a little bit more of a smoky applewood flavor, which is really good. Applewood is probably one of the best chips you can use in barbecuing, in my opinion. Gas is for the kitchen stove, charcoal is for the barbecue. Absolutely. 100%. I want to help you the way I've helped others. I want to help far more people and have the resources to. Yeah. I know what you mean. I think we've been there as well. In fact, we've probably put ourselves into a number of sticky situations because we've helped other people sometimes. And you know, some of those people weren't grateful. Some of those people turned their back on us. Some of those people saw us as an ATM machine. And, you know, it's one thing to help someone, but it's another thing to be taken advantage of. So, you know, it's one of those things. I think I'm not going to say that we're in the situation we're in right now because of that, but it was obviously, there was, some of that was contributed to the issues that we do have, unfortunately. But, you know what? I don't feel bad about that, because at the end of the day, we did a good thing. And I think that's more important than getting thanks. You know, doing a good thing is more important than other people being thankful for it. Like I said, you know, you do it because you want to help someone. You're not doing it because you want thanks. And so, even though it does hurt when people don't appreciate it, it doesn't change anything. I try to watch, chat, like, share, follow, sub, and everything I can. And I really do appreciate that, Ronald. Thank you so much. You know, you've basically been here in every single stream. I think you've missed like one stream since you started it's just such an amazing thing to see someone that comes along and is like genuinely passionate about being a part of this community, about helping me out, about donating, and it really does mean a lot. Like I said, it comes down to belief, doesn't it? It's more than the simple actions, the simple action of clicking on a button. It's more than donating money. It is the belief. It is the faith. It is the, I'm doing this because I believe in what you are trying to achieve. I believe in your goals. I believe in your cause. And that is worth far more than the money. Propane for all, I tell you what. Man, I would love to... This is one of the frustrating things about the modern age. Can I go into a rant? Do you mind if I go into a rant here? I am so sick and tired of subscriptions. I am so sick and tired of subscriptions. Because there's the new series of King of the Hill, which I haven't watched. And I don't think I'm going to be able to watch, because I'm pretty sure it's on HBO. And I want to watch it. I want to watch the new King of the Hill. I also want to watch the old King of the Hill, but it's not on any of the streaming platforms. I'm going to have to go and try to find the DVDs, but when you go to JB Hi-Fi, they never have the whole set. They have like one season or something, and it's usually season 2 or 3. They never have the whole lot. It's so frustrating, and I want to rewatch King of the Hill, because I watched a lot of King of the Hill when I was younger, but I don't think I fully understood it. It was funny, there were funny moments, there were goofy moments, but I never truly comprehended what it meant. And now, as an adult, I have watched some of those scenes on YouTube and stuff like that, and people, you know, post scenes from King of the Hill everywhere, the same ways they do Simpsons, Family Guy, and stuff like that. And I've watched these scenes and I've gone, oh, I identify with that now. I completely understand. And, I really would love to rewatch King of the Hill. It's on Hulu for you, but I don't have Hulu. Yeah, it might be on Hulu for us, but we don't have Hulu either. You definitely aren't the only one. There seems to be a mass movement among young people rejecting everything being subscription. Good! Good! I'm down for that. More of that, please. Welcome to the stream, Doc. How are you doing, man? It might be, it might be related to your bubble, and I do sometimes feel like I'm inside that bubble, on account that we live together. But yeah, I think that you're right. I do see a lot of people saying we are done with subscriptions, so maybe it's in my bubble too. But I see it on social media a lot, where people are just like, I'm done with subscriptions. I don't want to subscribe. I want the DVDs. I want the Blu-rays. Do you know what I want? I want someone to invent a new kind of physical media that is cheap, first and foremost, cheap, can hold a lot more data, and doesn't have a shelf life. Because that's one of the biggest issues right now, in my opinion, with DVDs and Blu-rays, is we're going to start seeing disc rot. Blu-rays not so much, because the way Blu-rays are made is very different. But some of the earlier DVDs, we're going to start seeing disc rot, because they're not properly sealed. If you go to, like, if you feel the edge of a Blu-ray, it's rounded over. I don't know if you've run your finger on the edge of a Blu-ray, it's rounded over. If you go back to original, you know, very early DVDs, and you run your finger on the edge, it's sharp. It's like a hard edge. And the reason for that is because they've taken 2 pieces of plastic and sandwiched a piece of, I want to say magnesium. I'm not sure what it is. I can't remember exactly what it is. in between the two pieces of plastic, but they haven't sealed the edge. So the metal that is used for making a CD is actually able to get in contact with the air, and it starts to corrode. And you see these like these root-like track marks of rust moving through the CDs, and this is called disc rot. It's happening to early CDs. You want to see the worst example of disc rot? Look up laser discs. There's a lot of laser discs that are completely unusable now. But yeah, CDs are getting it. Early DVDs are getting it. Blu-rays are a little bit less susceptible to it, because I think what they do is they cover the whole disc in resin, so it's smoothed over around the edges, and you don't get that that air in contact with the metal. So yeah, Blu-rays are probably going to be fine for a good long while, but DVDs not so much. When somebody makes it cheap to read data from slivers of toughened glass. Oh, do you know what? That would be really good, actually. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Toughened glass would be really good. Because you could do laser etching. You could put data into... Had you actually heard of 5D optical storage? 5D? No. Is it called 5D optical storage? I remember it's a glass cube. It's a glass cube when they put like laser etched like encoding into it. I've seen that. It basically uses, you know, when you go to the store, you can go to like glass and crystalware stores, and you can have someone's face or a photograph or something etched into glass. It kind of does that. It laser etches data as dots and gaps into the cube. I've seen that. I don't know if it's called 5D, but yeah. Project Silica, I don't think it's a cube. Okay, so the one which I've seen is a cube. It's a literal cube, and it uses the laser to etch into the cube at, you know, in a three-dimensional space. And apparently it can store terabytes of data because of how small they can make each of the etchings. It's basically an analog data storage device. But the only problem with it is you can't... It's not it's not rewritable. It's only writable. So you can put laser etchings into the glass, but you can't change the etchings that have been put into the glass. So once it gets etched, you can never change it. I hate when I see censored and altered versions of entertainment where, remember, an original scene has been removed. I swear it happens. It does. Absolutely. It does happen. That definitely happens. Look at the movie E.T. When Steven Spielberg went back and he replaced all of the guns with walkie-talkies. Why? That one bothers me. That one really bothers. I don't even like the movie, and that one pisses me off. I've never been a fan of E.T., but that one really gets my goat. Also, just realized something, mate. Better. My logo was too high. That's better. Maybe no. That's better. There we go. But yeah, Project Silica, that sounds really cool. All right. I'll keep an eye on that. I think that toughened glass would make for a really cool storage method, definitely. Because you see it on, like, there's so many sci-fi shows, right? Where people have got like a piece of acrylic, really, in the show or the movie itself. It's probably supposed to be glass or something, but it's like a piece of acrylic. It's like a credit card, and they put it in and then they pull it back out, and it reads the data that's on the card. Something like that would be perfect for video storage, because if it's toughened glass, if it's using something like Gorilla Glass, which is unscratchable, supposedly, you can scratch it with a diamond. Actually, do you know what? My screen on my Samsung is Gorilla Glass, but it does have a scratch on it. I'm curious where that came from, because I don't have any diamonds, but I do have a scratch on my phone. I don't know where it came from. But yeah, I think that would make for a really good data storage, especially for like DVDs and things. Like replacing DVDs with readable data on a small segment of glass. That would be great. That would be perfect. You just like slot it in and it just reads it like it would read a CD, but it would be going like back and forth. Yeah. Yeah, I think that would be perfect. That would be a perfect way to store data for movies and CDs and, you know, all kinds of media. Yeah, I'll have to look that up. Project Silica. Oh, I see. Yeah, okay, so it's different than what I was thinking. Well, it's not that different from what I was thinking, to be honest. When I say like a rectangular card that you could insert into something and just read data off of it, I think that would this is fantastic. Oh yeah, look, they've made the Superman movie. Yeah, no, this is it. This is it. This is the way forward. This is brilliant. Hey Shiny, welcome to the stream. How you doing today? What in the Hylia? How you live so early? Oh, we're doing. See, no one bloody listens today. I'm doing just chatting streams at midday my time now. I'm not doing it every day. I'm doing it on Wednesdays and at the moment Wednesdays and Fridays. I may do more days if I can keep up with this, but for now it's just gonna be 2 days a week. Data storage glass cube. Oh my goodness, this one has got the entirety of the Bible stored onto a piece of glass the size of a coin. Looks about the size of a quarter. An American quarter, and it's the entire Bible. Wow, that's phenomenal. This is amazing. This is genuinely amazing. And like, it's not even like, even though it's like a piece of glass the size of a quarter, it's not even. It's like, the data storage part is like 3 millimeters by 3 millimeters. no, it is Project Silica. I played Doc. So if you search glass cube, it is still the same project. It's just that they're not using cubes anymore. Yeah, so Project Silica looks like they were originally going to use glass cubes for 3-dimensional etchings. But it looks like now they're using flat pieces of glass. I think the cube would be a little bit better because it's going to be sturdier. But I definitely am all for this glass technology future. This is what I want. This is what I've always wanted. Something like this that will never degrade, never age, can barely be scratched. Oh, I see. That's why it's called 5D. Okay. Right, so they're not using binary to encode it either. They're using color. So they're using color to encode it. So it's got more differentiations in bit than just binary. That's why it's so data dense. That's really cool. Because CDs are actually kind of like binary. It's kind of like Morse code in a way, you know, if people don't really have a concept of binary. It's kind of like Morse code, you know, it's dots and dashes. This is really cool. Yeah, I want this. I want this to be a thing. And this is the thing. This is expensive. Like, the way that they are demonstrating it is kind of expensive because it requires very precise tools to store the data in the sort of to the extent that they're storing it, you know? But to be fair, they don't have to be this precise. They don't have to be this small. They could make it, like, it doesn't need to be an entire movie on something that's 3 inches by 3 inches. They could make it a little bit bigger and make it less data dense. And that would also lower the cost. Yes, there's going to be more material, but it's also going to be, it's going to require less precise laser etching techniques to be able to make the movies. So this is definitely a way forward. Absolutely. I'm all for this. I am 100% down for Project Silica. This is perfect. This is 5-dimensional glass discs can store data for up to 13.8 billion years. Because that's how long it takes for glass to degrade. Wow. That's amazing. The only problem is it's not rewritable. Ever noticed how there's never been a CD-based handheld gaming device? The PSP was. PSP was CD-based. Okay, sounds great to me, to be fair. It's 5 AM. I need to go make my coffee anyway. There needs to be a way to reinforce it in some... oh, the glass, you mean? No, because Gorilla Glass doesn't bend. It doesn't break. You're pretty good. You don't need to. And, like, if you do make it very small, it's harder to break again. Yeah. You were big on tech? You like the Virtual Boy? Yeah, I do. I love the Virtual Boy. Virtual Boy is great. People think that because I love the Virtual Boy, I don't know anything about technology, but it's actually the opposite. I love the Virtual Boy because I'm quite up to speed on technology. And the fact that the Virtual Boy was even done in the first place goes to show that they were thinking ahead. Unfortunately, there was a prototype for a fully full color Virtual Boy. It was created by Argonaut. And Nintendo took one look at it and went, that's gonna cost $1,000. You wanna do a full color Virtual Boy? That's gonna be at retail $1,000. There's no way we can do that. And that was one of the reasons why they went with red. My clumsy hands would shatter the thing in no time. No. So the sort of glass that it's being made out of is like a tougher glass than the sort of glass you'd have on your mobile phone. So you could probably drop this thing and it would be fine. You could put like a metal edge around it with maybe some silicone in there, like caulking. So if it gets dropped, it'll be a little bit bouncy. But no, I think this is definitely the way forward. Project Silica is definitely the way forward, especially for long-term, high-capacity storage. This is it. This is it. I am 100% behind this. Just shut up and take my money. Aneuryn imitating Philip J. Fry. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. This is where I want. I need this, right? I like physical media. This is the thing. This is the big thing. I like physical media. I like having a bunch of shit on my shelves, okay? Right? And this is the sort of media that is going to last forever. It's cartridges, and we talk about this all the time. I love my cartridges. They are not going to last forever. Some of those cartridges are not going to outlive me. Some of them will, but some of them won't. And that's just the reality of the situation. Some of them will degrade. Some of them will get corrosion. That's not the same for glass. Glass doesn't corrode. Glass is like one of the perfect mediums for data storage, for long-term data storage, for game storage. This is it. This is the one. I ordered a copy of 8-bit DOE wireless adapter for my Switch. One Joy-Con in, post-display condition. Wait a minute. I ordered a copy of 8-bit DOE wireless adapter for my Switch. One Joy-Con in post-display condition and two 1.5mm screwdrivers. 2 items will arrive today, but I suspect the screwdrivers will arrive later, which is a shame because I wanted to see if I can fix one of the Joy-Cons I own because I suspect what could be wrong. Ooh. Might I recommend, if you're going to be taking apart your Joy-Cons anyway, order the Ghoulie kit, Hall Effect Joy-Con replacements. Hang on, Ghoulie, let me get that up, Ghoulie kit. Oh my goodness, they do tension adjustable joysticks as well now. Oh, and those will fit into my King Kong 3 as well. Ooh, okay. I might have to buy those. Here you go, Shiny. Here's a link for you. Scroll down to the bottom of that page. You'll find all the joysticks. Ooh. I love that, those tension adjustable TMR joysticks. Ooh. Doesn't require circuit modifications. Oh, damn. I'm gonna have to get these. Holy crap. Yeah. Okay. I don't think the ones on my King Kong are tension adjustable. No, they're not. Yeah. I'm gonna have to replace the ones on my King Kong. Ooh. Yeah. All right. All right. I've got a soldering project ahead of me. Alrighty, I'm gonna have to just quickly be right back. I hope you don't mind. I just need to jump away for a second, and I'll be back in about possibly about 5 minutes. Please don't go away. Certainly won't be. I'll see you in just a moment. Or I would if my be right back button actually worked. Okay. Remember I was saying that I was having issues with my Stream Deck? Yeah. Apparently I'm still having issues with my Stream Deck. There we go. Fix that. Alrighty. Sorry about that. Right, I'll be right back. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Doing the thing with my Stream Deck. There we go. Cool. Alright. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. See you in just a moment. Hello, welcome back to Aneuryn Plays once again with a Tea with Aneuryn. I'm really sorry about the delay. Oh my goodness. I've not been feeling well recently. I was wondering at first if it might be my change of medication. But I think that there's more to it than that. I don't think it's just the medication, so yeah. Oh well. Eh. Shit happens, as they say. An hour of today's stream couldn't be more perfect. Oh, I'm glad, because this is one of the things that I always feel like... I feel like streamers are like a modern take on radio presenters, you know? At the end of the day, we're here to have a conversation, we're here to chat, we're here to bring up interesting topics, and hopefully that means that you guys get to have, you know, fun with that, you know? You get to have that moment. In the same way that I used to listen to talk show radio when I was younger, streamers are the talk show radio of the modern generation. And it also means that you can come back to it at any time because there's VODs. You can't do that with radio. And arguably, the technology that I have in my office right now is far more advanced than some radio stations. So, yeah, I think we're kind of... I feel like we are drifting into that area, you know? When we're doing just chatting streams especially. Hold on, I just realized the chat has balked again. Oh no. Okay, hang on. On-screen chat is messing up. I don't like this. I don't know why it's doing it, but oh, maybe that will work. There we go. Oh, it flickered. Okay, it's back. There you go. Fixed. Solved-ish, maybe. Could be. I don't know. Yeah, that's perfect to me. This way, I have an opportunity to interact with you while not at work. Unfortunately, accounting job requires all my attention, so I can't do that normally. Yeah, exactly. And I think this is going to be the same for a lot of people. At the end of the day, I'm in Australia. This is like... The Australia debuff is huge for streamers, okay? Either... I've got two options. I either stream... according to American times, and then have the potential of getting, like, American audiences, UK audiences, and a little bit of Australian audience. But that also means being awake all night and asleep all day. Which is not great for getting anything else done. Or I stream by Australian hours, and that means that I'm awake during the day and asleep during the night. And, but then I miss out on, like, the entirety of the American audience. Honestly, this is, like, the worst place to be a streamer. If I was in the UK, it would be a little bit better. But there's a lot of reasons why I don't want to be in the UK right now. Honestly, the best place to be a streamer is America. It really is. Not just because of, you know, the vast audience, but also because there's just so many more networking opportunities. There's so many cons. We don't really have cons around here. We got a con called Supernova, which is a general pop culture expo, and we've also got PAX occasionally. Like, I think I think PAX is Sydney, so that's like 2 hours away by plane. Sydney. Oh, actually, let me go PAX Australia. Australia, mate! PAX Oz. Where's it gonna be? When's it gonna be there? About PAX Oz. Oh, no, okay, it's gonna be in Melbourne. I don't want to go to Melbourne. Really? There's no other? Is it just one? No way, it's just one. PAX Oz, Melbourne Convention Centre. Really? Just the one? Yeah, I probably won't be going to PAX. I thought it was going to be in Sydney. I saw that Spaceys was talking about going to PAX. And I was like, yeah, we could do PAX. We could do PAX. We could go to PAX one year. I thought it was going to be in Sydney. It's in Melbourne. No. I don't want to go to Melbourne. It's $77 Australian to get. So it's about $50 American to get in. Which is about right. That's fine. Wait, hold on. No, correction. It's $50 a day. For the full 3 days, it's $185 Australian. So it's like, yeah, about $150. So yeah, not far off. That's for the 3 days. And if I'm going to be going down to Melbourne, I have to get a hotel. I have to get a flight. I could drive to Sydney. I wouldn't want to, but I could drive to Sydney. I can't drive to Melbourne. I could, but I'd have to start a day early. Yeah, probably won't be doing PAX. It's way too much. That's just way too much. But this is what I was going to say. It's like, in the US, there are so many gaming conventions that you can just go to your local. Like, if I was in Texas, for example, Texas is probably where I'd want to live if I was living in the US. If I was in Texas, there are at least 5 different conventions that I know of in Texas that I could go to throughout the year. And it's not going to cost me $50, you know, every time for every day that I want to go there. Hey Tira, welcome to the stream. How you doing today? Your country is very big. It is. It is. It is absolutely huge. Unfortunately. Ah, dear. Yeah, I don't know. I won't be able to go to PAX, it looks like. I thought it was going to be in Sydney. I said to Spaceys that I was thinking about going, but now I'm not. I don't want to go to Melbourne. That's way too expensive. How much? Let me just see. How much is a flight to Melbourne? $176. So I'm going to be spending the same amount as the ticket price to go to PAX on a plane to get to Melbourne. That's without... Let me see. There's one... This one's called Cheap Flights. Cheap Flights to Melbourne. That's $200. That's more expensive. Brisbane to Melbourne. October. return. Oh, that's one way as well. Wow. October, what was it? Like the 9th? October 9th? Right, so if I fly in on October 8th, it'll cost... I need 2 travelers. Economy. Return flight. Search. Flight Center's trying to figure it out. Yeah, like $250 per person. Oh no, no, that's for both of us. Okay, that's not too bad. Still, I don't want to do that. You know? Oh, got a cheap one here for 112. That's not bad. It was for Jetstar though, so there's no chance of we getting there. Yeah, this. Yeah. And that's without hotel rooms. We need hotel rooms then. It's just too expensive, honestly, to travel like that. We might do something local. Like, we were considering going back to Supernova Expo. Don't know if we will, but we might one day. And we'll see how that goes. But probably not this year now. Sadly. It's still Tuesday evening for you? For us, it's it's nearly 2 p.m. on Wednesday. So what we're doing now is we're going to be doing some just chatting streams at midday on Wednesdays and Fridays. If we can keep up with that schedule, if we can do Wednesdays and Fridays, you know, successfully, then we might end up doing more days. So yeah. What's my favorite color? Purple. Purple and the colors that make up purple. So that's why oh, hello. Why is my finger behind me? Oh yeah, no, it is supposed to be behind me. Okay. So that's why the logo pink blue with the purple stripe. I originally had the new version of the logo as being a gradient from pink to blue with the purple in the middle of the gradient. But I actually really didn't like it. It was just something that just felt off about it. So I made them like separated stark colors, and I really like the design. And it led me to making this down here. The little feature in the bottom right hand corner with the blue, purple, and pink stripes. And the reason that that's really good is because it is kind of based on an old magazine. I used to read an old magazine called Crash, and I still read it. They still do Crash magazine, but I actually I read Next magazine, which is for the ZX Spectrum Next. So the old magazine covers, and the new ones, admittedly, if I pull up a cover for Next magazine. Oh, actually, no. Let's go Crash instead. Crash magazine. So Crash magazine has a really cool little banner in the bottom right hand corner. Usually it's on the bottom right hand corner, sometimes it's on the bottom left. But if I pull up I'm looking for a screenshot or a picture of the magazine, like the classic magazine. 1987. Save image. Actually, I might not use that cover. That cover's a bit, that cover's a bit scary. I don't know if YouTube might see it as actual violence because it's got blood on it. So we won't use that one. That looks good. Save image. Let's have a look. Let me see if I can pull that in. There it is. Okay, so this is Crash Magazine, and as you can see, they've got this thing in the bottom corner. Yeah, I've really messed up where I put my pointer, haven't I? There we go. So you can see they've got these the colored stripes in the bottom corner. And when I came up with the design for this overlay, it didn't look like this. It didn't have this down the bottom right-hand corner. But when I started getting Crash Magazine again, or not Crash Magazine, when I was getting Next Magazine, and I wanted, one of the themes that I wanted for this channel was I wanted it to feel kind of like a magazine. I don't know how I'm going to really go about doing that, but generally the idea is I want my videos to feel magazine-like, so that they are a digital equivalent of a paper magazine, you know? We can post different articles, we can post different editorials, we might do reviews, we might do stuff like that, you know? And I wanted it to feel like a magazine experience. And when I realized that's what I wanted to do, and I already had this border, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put this down here. Gonna put these little 3 stripes down the bottom because it reminds me of the magazines that I used to read when I was a kid. Look at the prices on these. 85 pence. 85p. Not even a whole pound for a magazine. Good grief. And they used to have tapes on the cover as well. I've still got all my tapes. I can show you my tapes another time, but yeah. But that's Crash Magazine. I used to read that when I was a kid. Well, I say I used to read it. I used to look at the pictures. I was only 3 in 19... I was 5 in 1990, okay? Right? I read some of the magazines when I was about that age, but younger than that, not so much. I do still have all the tapes, though. Alright. Move that. But yeah, that was one of the driving concepts of these streams, is I wanted them to feel kind of like a magazine, so that there's different stories, different ideas, different a variety of different content. I hate the word content, but it's, I mean, it fits, doesn't it? I made you a tank in Miitopia, like a military tank. I do like tanks, to be fair. I do enjoy tanks. I have not played Miitopia though, so I'm going to guess, I'm going to believe you that is a good thing. There's a reason why Danganronpa uses bright fluorescent pink for blood in the series. It's not just stylistic. No, exactly, yeah. Like, part of it is the stylism of it. It is a very stylish series, but also, yeah, absolutely, it's because of like censorship reasons. But I think it works, you know. I'm not in favor of censorship, but I do think that sometimes limitation is the source of creativity. So, you know, when you have a limitation where someone says you can't have that much blood in the game, all right, that's cool. Let's see what we can do with that, you know? And the same is for, what's the other one? 𝗦𝘄𝗶𝘁𝗰𝗵. I don't know if anyone's played 𝗦𝘄𝗶𝗁. Really fun, dungeon crawling JRPG. Really cool game. It does the same thing. It's got like bright fluorescent pink for its blood. And that's another game series that's like really bright with the pink and the blue. So, and the purples. Really excellent game series. Really well made dungeon crawler. Like, I've played a few dungeon crawlers. I've got the 𝗦𝘄𝗶𝘁𝗰𝗵 Odyssey 1, 2, and 3 collection on my Switch. And they are good games, but sometimes I kind of just get bored and I go, you know what, I've done enough of this for now. And I put it back down, and then I'll come back to it later. But 𝗦𝘄𝗶𝘁𝗁 has got a really good story that pulls you in. And it's like a dark fantasy twist on things like Rapunzel, Snow White, Cinderella, stuff like that. It's like a dark fairy tale. I really like 𝗦𝘄𝗶𝘁𝗁. I know that a lot of people don't. Some people don't like that there's scantily clad ladies. But yeah, no, I think it's a great series. I've never let stuff like that bother me. Like, in one respect, I can kind of understand why people wouldn't like it. It's like, I don't want to see naked girls all the time. Alright, fair enough. But, well, they're not really naked. They're covered up, but they're nearly naked. Kind of like Senran and Kagura, you know? They're never actually completely naked. So, yeah, I can kind of understand why some people just wouldn't want that, but it's never been something that's really bothered me. Especially if it's something that actually, you know, applies to the game. Like, Senran and Kagura's got the clothing tearing mechanic, which links into their HP. Like, you can see how much HP you've lost by how damaged your clothes are. Yeah, I know, it gets your attention. You know, if suddenly your character is running around in their underwear, you know that you're low on HP, you know? I think Street Pass Quest, but heavily expanded. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I remember Street Pass Quest. Yeah, of course. That's the fantasy one. I'm actually rocking around as an actual purple tank. That's kind of funny. So does 𝗏𝗏𝗰𝗵. I'm afraid to see what happens if one of my characters gets down to half health. Yeah, see, it's not just naked ladies in these games. It's naked men too. I mean, if that's what you're into, then go play 𝗏𝗏𝗰𝗵. Yeah. It's a really good. I mean, 𝗏𝗏𝗰𝗵 is a really interesting series in and of itself. Like, the concept is really cool. It's I don't know if you understand or if you've heard of the Japanese concept of the kami. A kami is basically people will say God, but it's more nuanced than that. Kami isn't necessarily God. It's more along the lines of a spirit, you know, a lesser god. The word lesser sounds derogatory, but it's not. But it's a lesser god. It's a spirit of an item. So every object has a kami. And it was also believed that the spirit of a samurai was in their sword. Right? It was specifically, it's in the edge, the cutting edge of their sword. So if a samurai uses their katana and they are pouring their spirit into their sword, that empowers the kami. And in like 1,000 years time, I think it is, I can't remember exactly, in 1,000 years time, the kami of the sword comes to life. because that's actually something that is in Japanese mythology as well, is that after a long life of usage, the kami becomes powerful enough to bring the object to life. And that is called a... I can't remember what the word is, but there's a word for it. It's a type of yokai. Japanese objects come to life. Tsukumogami. It's 100 years. Sorry, not 1,000 years, 100 years. After 100 years of life, the kami in an object might transform into a type of yokai called a Tsukumogami. And that's kind of Touken Ranbu, is the swords come to life. And the sword becomes the sword spirit comes to life, and so they travel through time, and they set right errors in the timeline, because there's an evil transdimensional species that is trying to change the timeline of human history so that they can bring themselves into existence. But the spirits of the swords then go back in time to set history correct. Really interesting story, really cool concept. I really like it, and I definitely recommend it. Been learning a lot about the wars of 1582. Yeah, there's a lot of that. Like, that's a big part of it, is of the story of Touken Ranbu, is that it all takes place around the samurai wars. 15 not 19, not 1982. There wasn't samurai wars in 1982. In 1582, yeah. Almost based on an umbrella, Tsukumogami. Well, Tsukumogami is just... it's not necessarily an umbrella. An umbrella is the way that they tend to portray it. But, Oh, Akinosom is based on... Sorry, I see, I understand. And yeah, absolutely. Akinosom from Monster Hunter is based on the Tsukumogami. Tsukumogami. I watched, there was an anime called Tsukumogami, which was, it was the spirit of a kimono. It was actually pretty good. I'm just trying to remember how they pronounced it. It's probably Tsuk. They probably don't pronounce the U. Tsukumogami. Tsukumogami. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look that up. I don't know. I'm not gonna pretend like I understand how to pronounce Japanese words. We haven't done any lessons yet, so yeah. I was only joking when I called it the umbrella bird. Wow. Yeah. So, this is one of the really cool things about Monster Hunter Rise, is that the entire game is based on Japanese yokai. You've got, like, the Tetranodon, which is a kappa, specifically a sumo kappa, which is the thing, is like kappa. So, kappa, they are turtle-like beings, but they sumo wrestle, and they like cucumbers. That's the thing about the kappa. They sumo wrestle and they like cucumbers. And so, taking that to a logical extreme, the Tetranodon becomes a big, large, sumo wrestling, kappa-like creature. You've got, Nawa and Ibushi, which are kind of like Raijin and Fujin. You've got Akinasom, which is a Tsukumogami of an umbrella. I'm just trying to think what some of the other ones were. You've got the Bishaten, which is a Tengu. And even the Rampage itself is based on the yokai procession. It's called Hyaki Yagyo. The Night Parade of 100 Demons. Sometimes it's an orderly procession, other times it's a riot. It refers to a parade of 1,000 supernatural creatures known as Oni and Yokai that march through the streets of Japan at night. It's a terrifying eruption of the supernatural into the real world, and is a very similar in concept to Pandemonium. I don't agree with that. That's not strictly true. Pandemonium, that's not what Pandemonium is. Yeah, no. No, I don't agree with that comment. That last part, it's equivalent to Pandemonium. That is not correct at all. But yeah, there is in Japanese legend, there is this procession, this parade of 100 demons. And that is basically what the Rampage is based on. Yeah, the reason I don't agree with that Pandemonium comment is because Pandemonium, even though it's a word that's used in English these days, well, it's still a pretty antiquated word. Pandemonium just means like everything has gone crazy, everything is a riot, it's insane, you know? But that's not what Pandemonium means. Like, Pandemonium, if you take all of that together, it means all demons. So you split it up. Pan means all, and demonium means demons. And the word Pandemonium was created by John Milton in Paradise Lost. So basically, when Satan falls in Paradise Lost, he says, if we cannot rule in heaven, then we will make a heaven out of hell. And they founded the city of Pandemonium, the place of all demons. And so, yeah, I don't really agree that the city of demons is the same as the yokai procession. That's, no. I don't agree with that at all. That's completely different. Completely different. No connection whatsoever. No similarities have been seen. Great Izuchi is the Scythe Weasel yokai. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. I've always wondered what the Great Izuchi is supposed to be, because I've been like, obviously they're all based on something, and Great Izuchi has just been like, it's just a bird wyvern. It's just this game's version of, you know, the Velociprey or the Genprey or the Eoprey. And I was thinking to myself, what does this represent? What is this? What is it supposed to be? And I never went looking for it because I like to try to figure these things out for myself. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It's the Kamitachi. It is, yeah. The Kamitachi itself means like the blade spirit or blade god. Kami, spirit, or lesser god. Tachi, blade. So yeah, Kamitachi. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I hadn't even thought of that one. That one had completely, yeah, bypassed me. But I love what they've done with Monster Hunter Rise. Some of my favorite monsters are in Rise. And I think I would like to... Oh, I should say some of my... Actually, no. I was going to say some of my favorite monsters were introduced in Rise. But no, I actually think some of my favorite monsters are in Rise is probably more accurate. Because 𝗬𝗶𝗁𝗁 is also in Rise. And I do love 𝗬𝗶𝗁𝗁. Yeah, I completely agree. Izuchi, Great Izuchi, just the regular Izuchis and the Great Izuchi, it's such a cool monster, and it has a really excellent design, which makes it set apart from Velociprey. You know, when you look at them, you got Velociprey, which, you know, well, they're Velociraptor-style monster. They have kicking attacks, they jump at you. Okay, we got that. What's the next one? 𝗬𝗶𝗁𝗁. Okay, well, it's a Velociprey, but it's white, and it lives in the snow. Okay, that's basically just a recolor. Alright, what else have we got? 𝗬𝗄𝗁. Okay, this one's a little bit more interesting. It doesn't jump as much. The Gendrome does jump as much as the Velocidrome, but the 𝗬𝗄𝗁 are more, they bite at you. And when they bite at you, they paralyze you. So, okay, that's a little bit different. Okay, I can get behind that. It's more than just a reskin, a recolor, you know? But then, yeah, you've got the Jaggy, which the interesting thing about the Jaggy is you've got the Jaggy and the Jaggia. And the Jaggy, you know, they're the males, but they're smaller. And then you've got the Jaggia, which are the females, which are slightly bigger. Then you've got the Great Jaggy, which is the biggest of the three, which is the ruling male, the alpha male. And, okay, that's got a cool concept, but it's still just a Velocidrome or Velociprey at the end of the day. It's got an additional female form, but that's about it, really. Izuchi, they've really changed, because the way that they use pack mechanics in Rise is really good. Like, you'll usually have the Izuchi call for help. And, you know, Velociprey do the same thing. The Velocidrome will call for Velociprey to come and help. That's fine. But they don't work together. But the Izuchi do. And they've got that big attack where three of them attack you all at once with a spinning tail scythe, which is really cool. It's really awesome. I think that I very much so like the Great Izuchi. I think it's probably my favorite of the Raptors. I'm a fan of... I do like the Jaggies. I really do like the Jaggies. The Jaggies are really cute. Actually, my favorite ones are probably the Roggies, which is basically like... the Roggies and the 𝗬𝗄𝗁 are very similar. They're both poison type. I don't like the shape of the nose of the 𝗬𝗄𝗁. It's, like, way too big. I think it's supposed to be a crest, but it looks too wide to be a crest. So, yeah. I'm not a fan of the 𝗬𝗄𝗁 design. But I like the Roggi. Roggi is really cool. And that's another one that's in Rise. And I think Roggies are probably my favorite. I like the way they just chill out and they sit in streams. That's just really cute. You know? Like, Izuchi are a bit too aggressive to be called cute. But, the Roggies, I love going through the jungle. Sorry, through the flooded forest in Rise. And the Roggies are just sitting in the stream. I love that. That's so cute. That's adorable. Great Jaggy has the iconic roar. It really does. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Man, you can't go wrong with some of the sound design for some of these monsters. All right. What are we doing? What else are we doing? What are we doing today? What can we talk about? Let's see what we can talk about today. Let's talk about some gaming news. Because there's been a lot of gaming news happening recently. There's unfortunately a lot of really not great news coming out from gaming, sadly. There seems to be a lot of really like negative stuff happening, and I've seen recently again a lot of people are complaining again about the whole Nintendo digital prices are lower. I don't know. It's so frustrating that I keep seeing content creators on YouTube talking about how Nintendo are charging us extra for physical games. And it's like, no, they're not charging extra for physical games. They're charging less for digital. And people that I respect, people that I'm looking up to as content creators on this platform, even they are saying the same thing. Where if you go back a few years, you'll hear them complaining that digital games are the same price as physical games. Like, this has been the biggest issue since the first introduction of digital gaming. A lot of people, we were told back in those days that digital games would be cheaper than physical games. That's the way it's going to be, because, well, you wouldn't have to pay for the media, the shipping, the putting things on store shelves, you know, it'd all be digital, it'd all be cheaper. And, you know, we accepted that. I thought I knew going into that generation that digital games were going to be cheaper, but I was going to buy physical anyway. That was going to be it, because I even back then I was like, no, I want physical, thank you. But now, like, you go back a few years before this happened, and people will be like, oh yeah, remember when we were told back in the early 2000s that digital was going to cost less? Some of those same content creators today are now complaining that Nintendo is charging us more for physical items. I can't believe that. Like, there are so many great YouTubers out there that I genuinely, like, I trust their opinions, I trust their thoughts, I trust what they have to say when it comes to the gaming landscape. I watch them regularly because they are probably some of the best news outlets when it comes to video games. And yet all of them are now saying this complete change of face. Oh, Nintendo's charging us more for physical games. No, they're not. Well, they are, yes, but it's not that they're charging us more for physical games. They're charging less for digital games. And I've said this already a few times, but it's like, it's not. It's a situation that has come about because Nintendo has raised the prices of video games. They did. We know they did this. That's not a surprise. Everyone is raising the prices of video games. Xbox is raising the price of video games. PlayStation is raising the price of video games. But Nintendo turned around and said, no, our digital games will be $10 cheaper. So if you want to buy the game digitally, you won't have to pay as much as a physical object. Or as a physical copy of the game. And now everyone has flipped on it. Everyone who complained that we didn't get what we were promised is now complaining that we got what we were promised. I don't. It's anything to complain, isn't it? And usually when it comes to Nintendo, that's what it is. You know, it's just any excuse to Nintendo are finally doing the thing that was promised to us 30 years ago, well, 25 years ago, and now it's a bad thing all of a sudden. And I just find that so utterly frustrating. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say to that. Because if you try to turn around and you say, hey, this isn't what you said 12 months ago, then you're like, oh, you're just a Nintendo shill. You're defending the $1 million company. How dare you attack my $1 million company? It's like, or $1 billion company even. It's like, that's not it. That's not it. That's exactly not what it is. That is pointing out that people are being hypocrites. People were complaining 12 months ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that digital gaming was not what we were promised. It's not. And it never was. We were always promised lower game prices for digital games. And now that that is finally happening, it's a bad thing because it's Nintendo are doing it. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like, I'm all for keeping Nintendo accountable. I don't like game key cards. I don't think game key cards should exist. There's no good reason. I said this on Twitter. I got a huge amount of backlash, but I'm not changing my opinion. Game key cards are the worst of both worlds. They're not entirely physical, so you don't have the reliability of a physical game, and they're not entirely digital, which means you don't have the convenience of a digital game. Like, that is the best part of a digital game, is its convenience. I never have to go looking for a cartridge. I just turn the game on. That's convenient. And given the fact that as we're moving forward into a digital-only age, if the Switch 3 comes out and it doesn't have a physical media port, then that's it, you know? Your physical games don't matter anymore. They're gone. But a digital account that transfers over from the Switch 2 to the Switch 3, well, your games are saved. Your games are protected into the future. I don't want to say, hey, you know what? Digital games are looking really good right about now. I'm not a big fan of digital games in general. I much prefer to have my physicals. But even I am able to see that physical does not have a future. Not because I don't want it to, but because I'm a realist. We can all be optimistic and say we hope that Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox goes back to a type of physical medium. We were talking earlier about the glass medium. What was it called? Project Silica. You know, that would be great. That would be great for having video games. Absolutely, that would be amazing. Is it going to work? Is it going to happen? Possibly not. Probably not. But, you know, that just means that I'm being realistic. I would prefer physical games. I would always prefer physical games. But that's not where the industry is going. And it doesn't matter how much we scream and shout. The game industry, or the people that are running the publishers, don't care. Because they see maximum profits for minimum cost. And yes, it's greedy. Yes, it means they get to control our games. That's true. And it means that it's easy to take digital games off someone. Did you know that the Ubisoft terms of service, if you signed up to Ubisoft as, you know that they've got their own web store. You know, like you've got EA Origin and you've got Capcom Online and stuff like that. If you sign up to Ubisoft, they actually have a stipulation in their terms of service that if you get banned off the Ubisoft service, that you have to destroy your physical copies. Yeah. Yeah, that's actually a thing. They put it in their terms of service. Of course, no one is going to do that. But Ubisoft have it in their terms of service that if you get banned off of Ubisoft Online, or Ubisoft Connect, that's what it's called. If you get banned from Ubisoft Connect, you must destroy your physical copies of the video games that you own that are from Ubisoft. What an absolute load of bullshit. So, digital is not reliable, right? It can be banned, it can be removed from your console. Look at PT. PT is a great example of this. Playable teaser. Konami, what Konami did when PT was removed from the PlayStation Store, they also sent out a piece of code to uninstall the game. So, there's some people that had PT on their systems, on their PlayStation 4s, and then the next day they woke up and it was uninstalled. That is something that they can do. There is literally a kill button for digital games, and any company can do it at any time. They just revoke the license. It is possible. That's why physical games are better in this regard, because if you don't connect your console to the internet, the physical games don't get told, oh, you can't play this. So, yeah, physical games are better. They're more reliable in that regard. But the digital aspect of, the digital games is more convenient. When you look at game keycards, it's the worst of both worlds. It is. Yes, it does have the benefit, like with most physical games, you can share them, you can lend them, you can trade them in. Not for long, mind you. You can do a bunch of stuff with the game keycards that you can't do with regular digital games. But that's superficial. It's superficial because ultimately you are not trading in a digital game. You are trading in a physical component. You are trading in a cartridge, but there's nothing on the cartridge. So once the Switch 2 is off the shelf, once the Switch 3 is being talked about, companies all across the world, like GameStop or Best Buy or Game or Electronics Boutique or JB Hi-Fi, any company, any shop, any storefront that does second-hand games, they are not going to be taking the key cards anymore. They won't. There have already been a number of companies that have come out and said, we won't take game key cards. I'm just trying to think, because someone was saying that there's a company in America that have already said that they're not going to be taking game key cards for trade-ins. And I think that there's I'm not going to say who they are because I don't know. I can't remember exactly if this is true, but there is a store that I have gone to a number of times that I believe said that they wouldn't be taking in game key cards because there's no reliability of the market. Basically, as soon as that key card as soon as the Switch 2 disappears, if these people have bought, because that's ultimately what it is, right? When a store buys a game key card, it's what they're doing. They're buying a game key card from you with a trade-in with the intention of selling it on. But if they can't sell it because they're not selling Switch 2s anymore, then they're not going to take it. There's always going to be a market for GameCube and Wii and Wii U because those games, the physical games, are on the disc itself, right? But being that it's a game key card, there's no reliability that they're going to be able to resell it. And because of that, there are so many companies that are now saying, we will not be trading in, or we will not be taking trade-ins for game key cards. So that's something to take into consideration when buying a game key card. You can trade it in for now. You can sell it on the second-hand market up until the point where people realize it's not worth it, you know? And one day, a day will come where that game keycard won't work. For reasons. Whether it's because servers have been shut down, whether it's because licenses have been revoked. And that's the thing. That's the biggest problem, is that ultimately, a game keycard doesn't work like a physical game. It visually seems to function like a physical game. You put the game keycard into a Switch 2 and it plays the game. But that's not what's happening. What's happening is you put the game into the Switch, it downloads a digital copy of the game, and then from that point onwards, that game cartridge, which isn't actually, there's no game on the cartridge, it's just a code, it's just an access license. You put that into your Switch 2, and it allows you to play the digital game that you downloaded. So, if you lose the cartridge, you no longer have access to the digital game that is fully installed on your console. If the cartridge is damaged, lost, stolen, whatever, you can't play the complete digital game that is installed on your console because you don't have the access key. That is where a game keycard is. Which is why I say it doesn't have the reliability of a physical game, and it doesn't have the convenience of a digital game because you still need to slot it in and out of your system. And every time you slot something in and out of your system, there's a chance it'll break. And that's true of all cartridges. That is the knowledge that you have with every single physical game that you buy, that one day that might break. One day you might insert it into the console wrong and it won't work. It's, and this is the other thing as well. Because the game keycard needs to connect to an external server, I know this is going to be rare in big 2026, but if you don't have an internet connection, you don't get to play that game. So, like, I know that there's... We've talked about this, that there's, like, different levels of the affordability of video games, right? If some kid from a poor family has wanted a Switch 2, oh, ma'am, I want a Switch 2, please, can I have a Switch 2? And the family gets together and they buy this kid a Switch 2, right? And then they buy him a bunch of video games. They buy a bunch of games, and it's like, this is going to be the biggest Christmas that this kid has ever seen. He's got a Switch 2, and he's got, like, 3 games. And it's huge, and it's really important, and it really means a lot to him, because even the kid is aware that they're poor. And those 3 games are digital keycards. And they don't have the internet. Because they can't afford it. Because internet prices aren't cheap. So that kid is gonna go, he's gonna, oh, what a wonderful Christmas he's got. He's got a Switch 2. He's so grateful that he gets to look at a Switch 2 in person. But he doesn't get to play any games because he doesn't have an internet connection. Nah, sorry. Parents that aren't gamers and grandparents who most of the time are not going to be gamers, let's be real. People from my generation, they're not all gamers. They're not gonna know that game keycards are not a physical game. I see so many people on, in the comments, on X and on Threads when I was talking about this, there were so many people in the comments saying game keycards are physical games. They don't know that they aren't. They don't know that there's no game on that cartridge. And even so much as saying to them, telling them, there is no game on that cartridge, was enough for them to get into a rage and start yelling at me that I don't know anything about gaming, that I'm not a real gamer. Because I was setting them right. because I revealed their terrible financial decisions in buying a game keycard. But they can't take responsibility onto themselves, so they have to yell at me. That's fine. That's fine. Hopefully, though, they've learned something. Hopefully. I doubt it. Hey, Daniel, welcome to the stream. How you doing today? At this point, do yourself a favor and buy a digital game from the eShop right away instead of buying digital game with extra steps. Exactly. And this is the thing, is that, like I said, I don't want to be an advocate for digital gaming. That's not me. I'm a physical gamer. Look at my background, right? These are collector's editions of all 3 of the Xenoblade Chronicles games. There's also a Wii U version of the collector's edition of Xenoblade Chronicles X right there, right? All of these are DS games. All of these are DS games. All of these are Wii games, right? You can see Mary Skelter there. Mary Skelter R. Azure Lane. Hyperdimension Neptunia. Bayonetta, the Infinite Climax Edition. Here, I've got these mini arcade cabinets from SNK and from Sega. I am an advocate for physical games. Actually having physical games. Actually owning the medium that you have. But you know where else I've got? I've got a bunch of Xbox games that I didn't realize until after I'd bought them that they're not complete on the disc. That they are completely unplayable. And when I discovered that they were completely unplayable, just with the disc, I went back to EB Games, and I was saying, because a friend of mine works there, I said to him, what is the point of this? And he said, well, you can trade them in if you want to. And I said, no, you know what, I've already got them, but I really don't see the point in having a physical medium when at any time the shop could be shut down or the digital license can be revoked. And that's the same for the game keycards. At some point, some unscrupulous publisher, I'm looking at Ubisoft to be probably the first ones to do this, could potentially send out a code that disables the license on your game keycard. That just, that just seems like an Ubisoft thing to do, right? Because that's the thing, when you plug your game keycard in, it has to connect to the server and then download the game. So what happens if Ubisoft decides, we don't want people to be reusing the game cartridges? Oh, we noticed that this game license is being used on 4 different Switches. We're going to disable that license because it's being shared. And so the next time someone plugs that in, it comes up, this game card is no longer authorized. Yes, that can happen with digital games too. We have seen it done with digital games. Hell, Ubisoft managed to do it with a physical game. They did it to The Crew. But guess what? The Crew is the reason that Ubisoft is currently under investigation by the EU for crimes against the consumer. Hells yeah, that's where we want to be, brother. But that's where we're at. Game keycards are not reliable in the slightest. Right, sorry. Let me get back to what Daniel was saying. Sorry I haven't been on your streams in a while. I've been watching your videos, but I'm really busy. Got a new car and some work stuff came up, and my schedule kind of changed. That's all right, Daniel. No need to worry, bro. At the end of the day, I'm just grateful that you're here. I'm grateful that you're watching, and that really does mean a lot. So, don't feel like you're obligated to be here, but you're always welcome when you are. I believe there should be a digital version for every game for the sake of conservation, not as a bottom line for consumers. I agree with Laney. Laney is correct. I think every game needs to have a digital version, or you need to have some means by which that you can back up your own. Legally speaking, under EU law, under UK law, actually might not be in UK, under US law, under Canadian law, and under Australian law, it is completely legal for you to make a backup of any game that you have. Which is why modifying your 3DS isn't illegal, right? It's sharing those ROMs that is illegal. If you are backing up your ROMs for your own personal use, that is completely reasonable and legal. And I have done that myself. I have a copy of Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, which unfortunately stopped working. I don't know why it stopped working. It's really frustrating. But what did I do? I've got a modified new 3DS XL. And I put the Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate into the 3DS XL. I downloaded the entirety of the game ROM from the cartridge and installed it as a digital game on my 3DS. Guess what? It now works. There you go. That's a legal use of modifications of hardware and consoles. What I would love to do, but this is a lot harder to do, and this is like S tier difficulty when it comes to modifying systems. I want to modify a Super Nintendo, an N64, an NES. I want to modify an Atari so that I can back up my games. Not only that, I also want to back up my saves. That's a problem. I'm reaching the point now where some of the games on my shelf are over 25 years old. Actually, some of them are over 40 years old. But with Legend of Zelda, for example, I still have my original save. The first time that I completed it with a friend of mine. It's still on the cartridge. And I want to back that save up so that I don't lose it. So that I can change the battery. And there are devices you can use to do that. And I do want to get them. I would love to get. They're expensive. They're so expensive because they're all custom made. But I do want to get those kinds of modifications so that I know that I can back up everything. The benefit of that as well is, if you back up a save from a cartridge, you can use it in an emulator. I don't know if you're aware of that, but if you've got one of those devices to be able to back up ROMs, you can back up your saves and then take that save data and inject it into an emulator, so you can continue to play those games even after the cartridge is long gone. I'm all for preservation, and I'm all for preservation on the individual level, not just on the wider scope of game preservation. I think we as individuals need to be preserving our own copies so that if someday in the future the internet goes out, all you need is one rogue solar flare. One rogue solar flare. But if you got backed up copies that's saved and protected, maybe it's saved in glass. That's what we were talking about earlier, Project Silica. Then that means that those games are eternal. 13 billion years, apparently, is how long it would take for those glass data storage devices to degrade. 13 billion years. Those games would be actually eternal. Which is amazing. That's what I want. I don't want just games for myself. I want games for the next generation. For the generation after that. I want every game that's on my shelf to be accessible by everyone. I'm tapped out on Switch 1 right now. I want Switch 2, but I can't afford. Yeah. No, I completely understand that, Daniel. Yeah. A lot of people are saying they can't afford it. And this is, I actually mentioned this yesterday in the stream, is like, it's so frustrating that there's so many people now that can't afford the next generation of console, to the extent that they can't even afford the cheapest one. You know? The Switch 2 is the cheapest current console on the market, and there's so many people that can't afford it, and that's so disappointing. I think it's inevitable. The prices of chips and a lot of things have gone up, but unfortunately, yeah, like you say, it is what it is. There's not a lot we can do about it, sadly. The moment I see a game keycard on the box, I put the box away every single time, bro. Every single, and anytime it says code in box. Yeah, every single time I put it back down. I was so excited back a few years ago now, probably about 5 years back, because I saw the James Pond collection. I don't know if anyone knows that series. James Pond was a great game series on the Sega Mega Drive or Genesis. And they have the James Pond collection on Nintendo Switch. And I saw there was a physical copy. I went into a Big W and they had a physical copy of James Pond. And I was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe that this exists. I took a photograph of it and I sent it to Kiko. And I said, Kiko, I might end up spending money today. And she said, that says code in box. And I was like, oh, never. I was literally on my way to the till. I was literally walking to the till when she sent a message back saying that says code in box. And I looked at the box, I went, oh my goodness, you're right. And I went and put it back down. Yeah. Yeah. It do be like that. I just got the physical edition of Mortal Kombat Legacy for Switch 1. I love it. It's so good. Oh, really? Did you get that through Limited Run? Or did you get that off the Atari website? I mean, still the Limited Run copy, but yeah. I did see it on the Atari website. I was going to pick it up. I may still do. The annoying thing about the Atari website is they don't ship to Australia. I'm going to have to shake them. Atari... There have been a few times where Atari has actually responded to me when I've posted stuff on my X account. And I need to shake them one day. I need to be like, guys, ship to Australia, please. This is getting dumb. But I do think that some Atari games get released in stores in Australia anyway. So, like, one of the things I had issues with the Atari website was that I couldn't get a copy of the Pac-Man edition of the Atari 2600 Plus. And so I had to order it and have it sent to my parents' house and have my parents send it to me. That cost a fortune. But after I made the order, you know, it was like 6 months later, it popped up on the EB Games website in Australia. I'm like, I can't believe this. Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just tell us it was going to be coming to stores in Australia? That is so much easier than making us jump through these stupid hoops. I'll buy a game keycard if I can get the key card cheaper than any other version, but I prefer physical for obvious reasons. I hate the real conversation. I'm sorry. It's okay though. I hate this oh yeah. No. I gotta be honest, I don't think that they are not real physical games. They aren't. And that's the problem, is that they don't have the reliability of an actual physical cartridge. They do allow you to share them. You cannot give it to a friend, of course. That's fine. But I do think that is a superficial thing, because you've still got no ownership. And that's the important part, I think, when it comes to physical gaming, is the sense of ownership. And you don't have that with a game keycard. It's not the same. At this point in time, as like I said earlier, as much as I hate to admit it, digital is probably the way forward. Because if the Switch 3, just using Switch 3 as an example, we've already seen it with the PlayStation 5. They've already released versions of the PlayStation 5 that don't have a disc drive. Right? So even if you did get a game on PS5 that is complete on the disc, the PS6 might not have a disc drive. So good luck getting that to work. The same goes with the with the Switch 3. If the Switch 3 doesn't have a physical media drive, you're not gonna have access to all of your Switch and Switch 2 games on the Switch 3. But you will still have access to all of your digital games. So sadly, and frustrating as this is for me as well, like, don't think that I'm on board with this. I'm not in, I don't like this, but I have to see, as a realist, there we go, I'll get there. As a realist, you have to look at it and go, that's, physical is not going to help us in 10 years' time. It's going to be digital only. And that's going to suck. So, I admit I have been buying more games digitally recently. Monster Hunter Stories 3, for example. I've got that digitally. One, because they only released a game key card. I'm not buying a game key card. I never will. And, you know, it would run... Even if there was a physical copy of the game, like, complete on the cartridge, it would still run better as a digital game than it does as a cartridge, because the read-write speeds on the cartridges are pretty low. They're not good enough for streaming data. There is another reason, there is another way to go with this, and I'll talk about that in a moment, but before we do, I want to catch up on what's in chat. They should be investigated for crimes against humanity. Yeah, I completely agree. Ubisoft can get screwed. It's completely legal to emulate games that you own. It's games you don't own that's illegal. Even that is not strictly true. There are ways around it. It's more the sharing of games that's the problem. It's if you're sharing it with other people, that's where it's illegal. Oh, having the ROM of a... If you have the ROM of a game that you don't legally own, that you don't have a physical cartridge of, it's very difficult to bring charges against someone for that. But if you're caught sharing it, yeah, 100%, you're gonna get done. I had a Retron 5, it was pretty cool. You could dump the ROMs. Whoa, hold on, wait, hold on a second. You can dump ROMs on a Retron 5? Holy moly, I didn't know about that. Okay, because I've been looking at picking up a Retron 5. I didn't know you could use that for ROM dumping. Oh, I'm 100% in now. I'm going to be picking up a Retron 5. No question. No question. I've been looking at them. They have a really cool one now that's blue and pink. You may have guessed, but that appeals to me. Yeah, okay. Well, there we go. I'm going to buy a Retron 5. Yeah, 100%. I can't afford a Switch 2 either. I'm saving for one. Yeah. Look, I still think that the Switch 2 is probably the best console on the market today. Not the most powerful. Let me clarify that. I'm not saying it's the most powerful system on the market today, but I do think it is the best. And the reason that I think it's the best is simply because it is as good as an Xbox Series S, and I don't give a crap about graphical fidelity, right? I don't. If it's so bad that it negatively impacts playing the game, fine, alright? There is a limit, admittedly. But I don't have a problem with low quality graphics. I don't have an issue. The biggest issue that I have when it comes to low quality graphics is streaming it, because I don't want you guys to have a bad experience. But it's the Switch 2 is as powerful as an Xbox Series S, and it's portable. In fact, there are some games I have played on Switch 2 which perform better in portable mode, in handheld mode, than they do when plugged in. Monster Hunter Stories is one of them. Monster Hunter Stories 3 runs at about 30 FPS. It wobbles between 30 FPS and 40 FPS when it's plugged in. And that's because it's always outputting in 4K. If they had the option to change the difference between visuals or performance, you'd be able to reduce the visual qualities and have better performance, but they don't have that option in the game on Switch at this moment. But when you're playing in handheld mode, it locks the resolution to 1080p because the screen is only 1080p, which is fine for a screen of that size. The equivalent is like 1080p on a screen of that size is the same as 4K on a regular sized PC monitor. It's basically 1/4 of the size, and that means being 1/4 of the resolution, it still looks sharp. It's really good. So you can play Monster Hunter Stories 3 at a really sharp resolution at 1080p on the handheld version, and because it's only 1080p, it runs at 60 FPS, locked at 60 FPS. It's great. I really enjoy playing it in handheld mode. I have always been a fan of portable gaming because it means that I can sit down on the couch, I can put on a movie, I can put on YouTube, and I can play my game in my lap while watching the TV or while listening to something else. And you guys can do the same. You can, you know, play your Switch or your Switch 2 or your 3DS while listening to me. Please do that. And, I've always loved that about portable gaming. That's the thing that has always attracted me to portable gaming. And now the Switch 2 runs better in handheld mode? Hells yeah, brother. That's what I want. That's what I want. It's for me, it is the perfect console. Not a shred of a lie. I'm not bullshitting you or anything. To me, the Switch 2 is the perfect console that I could have right now. Daniel was saying, I'm pretty sure EV games are GameStop. Yeah, EB Games is GameStop. That's right, yeah. So, GameStop was originally an American company, and then in the UK we had Game and EB Games. In Australia, they also had Game and EB Games, and they were separate. But GameStop, I think it was GameStop bought... Hang on a minute. In the UK, the two companies, Game and EB Game, merged. I don't remember who bought who, but Game and EB Games became one company. And in the UK, they continued being called Game. And then in Australia, they continued being called Electronics Boutique, or EB Games. And then it was GameStop that bought the company that owned both Game and EB Games. So that Game in the UK, EB Games in Australia, and GameStop in the US are all one company. The Dr. Sleep put some meds into the hunt, folks. That's how I lost my medical license. Welcome to the stream, Ghost. How are you doing today? So I'm catching up on stream. I'm getting there. I'll get there. You can rewind the cartridges, like if you make a mistake and you can rewind. That's crazy. Yeah. So there's some new mechanics that they've added to the re-releases, like rewinds and stuff like that. Something that you'd never think possible back in the day. But yeah, I do want to pick up the James Pond games. I'm gonna probably get them digitally because I'm not buying a code in the box. Why would you? The code in the box has never been something that I've understood, because, you know, I don't want just a box on the shelf. That do you know how many boxes I already have on my shelf? I don't have enough room for those. I don't want an empty box on the shelf. No, stop. Ubisoft needs to get used to not owning rights. Exactly. I completely agree. They turned around to us and they said, you need to get used to not owning your games. Well, you need to get used to me not giving you money. I've only bought one Ubisoft game since Mario vs. Rabbids 2. And that was Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. And I still strongly recommend that people buy that game. And I mean buy it. Because I want Ubisoft to see that they made a huge mistake by disbanding that team. I think one day in the distant future, people will discover The Lost Crown, and they will be like, man, this was a hidden gem. It wasn't a hidden gem. It was just Ubisoft were too dumb to actually promote it. Is it at least the most powerful handheld? At the moment, the Switch 2 is the most powerful handheld, yes. The Steam Deck 2 is going to be more powerful than the Switch 2, but it's also going to be like twice the price. So, yeah. Games I play on the Switch OLED are better quality in handheld mode than on my own TV. Yeah, I had the same thing. I've still got my OLED. I've got a TV next, like I've got my monitors for my PC in front of me, and I've got a CRT television to my right, and I've got a flat screen television to my left, and I've got my OLED attached to that television. Unfortunately, the OLED looks better in handheld than it does on the television. So I feel you, Shiny. I feel you, man. I really do. A friend of ours actually had a really cool 4K television that had upscaling built into the TV itself. So we went over to play some games with him one day, and he plugged in his Switch, and it was outputting in 4K on his television. And I'm like, oh my goodness, that's awesome. It looked so good. That was like one of the early days of 4K upscaling, and it looked so clean. I couldn't believe it. It looked so good. He had a lot of money though, so he could afford that. Nintendo Switch is my favorite system. I only have the first system, but it's value for money, bang for your buck. I think it's the best system, hands down. I would have to agree. Yeah. Like, Switch 2, obviously, I think that is obviously better now. And a lot of the games that you have on Switch do run better on the Switch 2. But I completely agree. I think the Switch family of systems are the best consoles. Not most powerful, because everyone... I always get that. Every time I say, oh, I think the Switch is the best console, a lot of people will turn around and say, but the PlayStation is so much more powerful and looks so much better. Look at this fidelity. Meh. I was like, I don't give a shit about fidelity. Stop it. I don't care if it looks photorealistic. I don't want my video games to look photorealistic. I want my games to look like Monster Hunter Stories 3. Right? I want my anime games. I want my games to be video games. I don't want them to be chasing reality all the time. I want my Breath of the Wild. I want my Monster Hunter. I want games that, even though they do look somewhat photorealistic, they are what I like to call realism plus. They take the idea of a realistic art style, but they exaggerate it. Resident Evil does this. Just trying to think of another game that does it really well. Resident Evil is actually realism plus, because there are a lot of features that are exaggerated to make those characters look more memorable and unique. Just trying to think of another game that does it really well, and it's hard to say. Because everyone's chasing the realism, and I don't think we should. The benefit of video games is that we don't have to make them look realistic. But yeah, I think that it's the best. Even if it's not the most powerful, I think it's the best. I agree. I absolutely agree. I'm playing my Switch Lite in bed while vibing with Aneuryn. Thank you so much, Tira. I really do appreciate it. Isn't your arm getting tired holding that mug? No, it's mostly empty, so I'm fine. It's also cold. Okay. Ah. If I ever go to Australia, I need to buy a video game over there, bring it back home, be able to play it in my system, maybe get a hold of you guys. Absolutely. Yeah, you know what? We were talking about going to cons earlier. And, you know, if folks come over and they want to go to a con, look at, like, Supernova PAX. I mean, we won't be going to PAX this year, because it's all the way down in Melbourne. But if there's a PAX in Brisbane, we'll probably go to PAX. If we go to Supernova in Brisbane or Gold Coast or something like that, you know, let us know, because we probably won't be inviting people over to our house, but we'll come and hang out. We'll do like cons and things at some point in the future, and you know, hopefully it'll be worth doing, because you know, people can come see us. We can get like a booth or something and say, hey, my name's Aneuryn. Hi, how you doing? You know? And just kind of hang out with people and chill and chat and talk about video games and maybe play games with you guys. That's kind of what we used to do at Supernova anyway. Like, we'd hang out, and then we'd go off to like a sushi place, or there used to be a crepe restaurant that we used to go to, and we'd hang out and we'd play 3DS. It was great. It was an amazing time. On the Retro 5, you can rewind on the Retron, you can rewind physical cartridges. That is insane. Man, okay, I really do need to get a hold of one of those. That's pretty sick. Play the DLC for it, and it's pretty good. I love watching you play. It's a good game. All your streams are great. Thank you so much, Daniel. I'd probably buy secondhand or used, if you know what I mean, if you're getting a Switch one. But at the same time, you know it's the right choice. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think, like, I would suggest that if you don't have a Switch one, see if you can get a refurbished OLED. And you know what? Maybe buy two. And I know that sounds crazy. I know you're probably going, whoa, now, I can't even afford one Switch 2. Why do you think I can afford two Switch OLEDs? For parts. They're not making anymore. Get a second-hand Switch OLED. Get yourself a refurbished Switch OLED. And, you know, you might be able to transfer parts back and forth if one of them breaks. If anything, it teaches you to be able to maintain your consoles, which is something which I love doing. And I want to encourage other people. That's one of the things I want to do on this channel, is I also want to do modifications and console maintenance. I would love to do videos on that, but I don't know how to do it. I know I need to get a better camera setup to be able to record that. And yeah, that's something I would love to do. Like, genuinely, I want to do console maintenance, because it's something that I like doing. I like taking my consoles apart and cleaning it and making sure it all works. And I want to show you guys how to do it. I want to show you guys how to modify them as well, so that you can get HDMI out on like an NES, or there's a fantastic mod that you can do for 3DS now. Like a homemade mod. Like, it used to be back in the day that you could send off your 3DS to a company and they would make it so that it outputs to a screen. There's now a homemade mod that you can do that. You could do that yourself with off-the-shelf parts. I think you would have to get a PCB made. I'm pretty sure you do need to get a custom PCB made. But, you know, for the most part, it's off-the-shelf parts. So I'm going to be looking into doing that with my own 3DS. What I might end up doing, though, is I might buy a 3DS XL. modify that one, and if the modification works, I'll transfer my profile from my current 3DS XL to the new one. And yeah, then I'll be able to play 3DS games on stream using original hardware as opposed to using Citra, which would be really cool, I think. It also means I'd have a touchscreen, which kind of vital in a 3DS game because most of them use touchscreen. Is Switch 2 the best fully backwards compatible sequel hardware platform ever, even above PS2 or PS3? So PS3 did have a bunch of issues going from PS2 to PS3, and if I remember correctly, PS3 doesn't play any PS1 games. I could be wrong about that one. I'm not really up to speed on the hardware. PS2 had some games that didn't work with, sorry, PS1 games that didn't work on PS2, but they were like a fraction of a fraction. It's a tiny number, so it's not even worth mentioning, really. I think PS2 is probably the best one for backwards compatibility, aside from the Wii. So when it comes to perfect backwards compatibility, the Wii is the best one, because the Wii actually contains a GameCube. Same goes with any of the DS consoles. Any of the DS consoles that also had a Game Boy slot, they also contain a Game Boy Advance. So you can play Game Boy Advance games on the DS. Same is true with the 3DS. The 3DS has got perfect backwards compatibility with every DS game. The Wii U has got perfect backwards compatibility with the Wii, because the Wii U contains a Wii. But the Wii U doesn't have a GameCube, so you can't play GameCube games on Wii U. So I think there are some consoles that do backwards compatibility a little bit better. But PlayStation 2, given the size of the library of the PS1 and the PS2, definitely is one of, among the top, probably the best when it comes to backwards compatibility. Xbox Series is doing quite well, actually, because with the Xbox Series, you can play, like, they've got a full list, a full catalog on the Xbox website, letting you know which games are compatible and which games aren't. So if you've got a physical game, like, I've been looking at buying Xbox and Xbox 360 games because they'll run perfectly on the Xbox Series X. So that's really cool. Of course, the Xbox Series S doesn't have a disc drive, so less cool. But there's a lot of really good backwards compatibility consoles out there. The Xbox 360. There's been recently a new development in being able to crack the 360, and because of that, it has become, or was it the Xbox One? It was either the 360 or the Xbox One. I can't remember which one it was, but that's becoming now a really good console for emulation, for just stacking it full of games. I don't remember which one it is. You could probably look it up. I'm sure someone like Macho Nacho will be talking about it, or Kuzlix. They probably talked about it. Definitely look it up. There's been some recent developments on Xbox hacking. I want to play that Crazy Train Tokyo Bus Tony Hawk looking game. That does look really fun. Yeah, it looks absolutely nuts. I'm not very good when it comes to skateboarding games. I used to think that I was excellent at them, but the last one I played was Tony Hawk's 3. So when I went back to trying to play some skateboarding games recently, I was like, oh man, I suck. Photorealism is a concept so chased by game devs they forget forget about an important thing: artistic uniqueness. Completely agree, 100%. I love watching videos on YouTube, YouTubers that do, like, Brits react, Australians react, Japanese people react to America. When they come here, I want to be on the other end of it. I've seen that, right? We have seen so many people that have come here from other countries just to experience what it's like living in Australia for a bit. And yeah, it can be nuts. Yeah. A lot of people get shocked by what they experience out here. How come 90s Mortal Kombat style digitalized graphics were dropped? Do you think they could look better than ever with current technology? I think they were dropped because, mostly because you can't really do digitized graphics well on 3D models. And there was a big push during the PlayStation and N64 era that they really wanted everyone to know that their consoles could really push 3D graphics. Xbox was really bad. Sorry, not Xbox. Nintendo were actually really bad about this because for a long time they said they didn't want to publish any 2D games. And then they did Yoshi's Story and completely relented on that. But for a time at the beginning of the lifespan of the N64, they said, we will not be publishing any 2D games, which was really frustrating for a lot of developers that wanted to make 2D games. Square Enix were already out of the picture when it came to Final Fantasy VII. They were going to be releasing Final Fantasy VII on the PlayStation, but they still wanted to release a Final Fantasy, or I should say some internal memos which are not 100% verified because Square Enix refused to verify anything. There seems to be some indication, I should say, that they wanted to produce a 2D RPG of 2D Final Fantasy for the N64. That seems to have been the case, but they couldn't because Nintendo said we won't be doing 2D games. And so basically Square Enix went, okay, we're out. That's it. We're definitely done. We're not interested. We're going to go entirely over here with the PlayStation. And it's a part of it makes me wonder if that game may have been Xenogears. Because that's Square. I think. Yeah, I think it's Square. I'm pretty sure it's Square. So, yeah. I wonder if that was Xenogears that they were going to release on the N64. It ended up being three discs, and one of those discs was just rolling, a scroll log, like at the beginning of Star Wars. It was just text on a screen. That was the entirety of the third disc. So, it was incomplete. It was unfinished, and I can't imagine that they would be able to fit it onto an N64 cartridge. But it might have been fun to see that. It might have been fun to see a 2D Final Fantasy on Nintendo 64. That would have been really cool. If I ever have an opportunity to meet with you, man, I would, and we could play some games in person. Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. And this is, if we got enough people, if we got like 1 million subscribers on this channel, who knows? Maybe I'd start my own con. It's something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. We used to do in-person meetups regularly. Every single week, we used to do a Switch meetup. It was specifically, we started running it the week after the Switch went live. And a lot of people found our events because it was a Switch event, So when the Switch released, we were like, we want to do this. We're going to hire a place. People can come in. We can hang out. We can play video games. And it was going really, really well up until the coup happened. But yeah. I would love to do that again. And look, if we've got a huge... if we do get like a really big... subscribers, if we get like 1 million subscribers, maybe I'll consider doing my own con. Because that sounds like something to be fun to do, I can't do soldering and stuff in my apartment. Fire hazard. That is a problem. Yeah. If you got, do you have a garage? If you got an apartment, do you have a garage? Because you could turn like the corner of your garage into a soldering station. You're a cool dude to hang around with, I feel. Some people would disagree with you, but I'm glad you feel that way. I really am, because obviously it means that I'm doing something right. I had a PS1 that I modded to play burned games, Japanese imported games, and it had a hard drive in it back in the day. Yeah, that was my sister had one of those. I actually, so one of my I borrowed a copy of Final Fantasy VII from a friend of mine, and accidentally, I don't know how this happened, but the third disc got scratched. And so I bought a copy of Final Fantasy VII, and I gave him the third disc. And then I got a burnt copy of the third disc to play myself. I wish I had better foresight than that, because I was so dumb. That was so stupid, because now I can't play my original Final Fantasy VII because the third disc is modded, and I don't have a modded PlayStation, so I can't play it. It's so annoying. My hands are too jittery for fine work on a game. I would recommend looking up 𝗦𝘄𝗶𝘁𝗰𝗵, 𝗬𝗎𝗓𝗋𝗋, what was the one I just recently... 𝗬𝗨 Technologies. They're really good. They don't just do video games, they do other things as well, but 𝗬𝗨 Technologies is really good. Look them up, because no one has got steady hands. Like, seriously. Their soldering doesn't necessarily... It does require a certain amount of skill, but you will learn that. You will learn how to steady yourself. It's the same thing with painting. I used to be a miniatures painter. I used to love painting minis, and I was really good at it. I don't have steady hands. I've got really shaky hands as well. But you learn how to deal with that. Trust me. Trust me on that one. Tim, welcome. Sorry, mate. I didn't see that you were here, bro. You haven't slept since last night. I have, actually. I have. I slept about 4 hours, but, yeah, we're going to be doing these streams at midday Australian time. We're going to be doing just chatting streams before I start a gaming stream. Is this midday for you? It was when we started. It's now 3:30. Actually, it's coming to the end of the stream. I'm gonna have to stop here so I can go and get food, and then come back in time for 6 p.m. The original Wii was easy as hell to soft mod too. I put a homebrew in it and it was pretty incredible. I've got 2 Wiis. I've got my original Wii, and I've got a Wii which I've put into a new case, because the old case was terrible. Although annoyingly I don't have the flap to put on the top. I wanted to get another one cast. Basically, here's the moral of that story. Don't buy replacement cases of Temu. There you go. There's the answer for you. Don't buy replacement console cases of Temu. I do have a replacement N64 case of Temu, which is fine, but the Wii case, the flaps on the top, the doors to cover the memory cards and the the controller ports, they don't fit. They never fit. So I'm really frustrated with that. Yeah, so don't buy that stuff off Temu. There are a couple of websites which will actually sell replacement cases, and they do really good acrylic cases. Alternatively, learn to make your own acrylic cases. It's actually not that difficult. It can require a bit of work, and if it's something that you're interested in, if you like console modding and you want to learn to do like mods and stuff to be able to continue to use your consoles into the future, like I'm looking at the possibility of modding my Super Nintendo and my N64. and my Wii, because I want them to output in HDMI. So I'm looking at the potential of modding those, but looking at the Retron 5 now, you know, Retron 5 is definitely something I'm considering now that I know that I can back up games and save files. That's really cool. So yeah, I would look into it, because if it's a hobby, and that's ultimately what it is, it's a hobby. And, you know, you spend some money on developing your hobbies. I do that. I had to do that with painting. I have to do that now with console modifications and maintenance. It's, yeah, it's one of those things that if you want to do this, if that's something that interests you, you're gonna have to spend some money on it. But you don't have to spend like a lot of money all at once. It's not like you know, buying a new console. It's not like buying a PlayStation 5. You're spending nearly $1,000 on the console itself, and then you gotta buy $120 games. It's not like that. It's when it comes to these kinds of hobbies, you build yourself into it. You know, if you're painting, for example, you buy yourself a set of brushes. That might be $20. You buy yourself a set of paints. Depends what the paint you're getting. You could buy one pot of paint from Games Workshop for $20, or you could buy an entire set of paints for $20 from Vallejo, or from Army Painter or something like that. And I do recommend you go with Vallejo or Army Painter, because they're better than Citadel in my opinion. And Citadel's massively overpriced. And then you got your miniatures, and you can buy whatever miniatures you want. Painting is a fun hobby to get into, and you build up gradually. You start with something small, and you go, oh hey, I really enjoyed that, I'm gonna try something else. And you build up, you know, you don't buy everything all at once. The same goes with console modification. If you've already got the consoles, well, you're not buying consoles. You're gonna be buying, you're gonna start with doing some simple shell modifications, perhaps, which means you're going to spend a few bucks buying a new shell, and you're going to spend a few bucks buying the screwdriver set that you need, because a lot of them use security screwdrivers. And you're going to start with like a $30 hobby, and that's great, you know? It's a great start. And you work your way up to soldering, you know? Soldering isn't the be-all and end-all of console maintenance. A big part of it is just getting into your system, being comfortable with the circuitry, that you know, hang on a second, that's dirty, that needs to be cleaned. You know, getting your isopropyl alcohol and toothbrush. You know, it's about understanding the system, because to a lot of people, consoles are like magic. It's a bunch of circuit boards. I have no idea how it works. It's basically runes and magic to me. You want to demystify that so that you can clean it, so that you can maintain it. It doesn't necessarily need you to be able to solder. But like I said, you shouldn't worry about your hands being jittery. You really don't need to worry about your hands being jittery, because there are things in play, there are things that you do when soldering which allows you to do it even if your hands are jittery. And the reason for that is because you have this wonderful material, big thank you to the person who invented it, called flux. Flux is beautiful, right? You put flux onto a circuit board, you put your solder onto the pads, you run your soldering iron across the flux and the solder, and the solder just bubbles. It goes into like a little ball. The flux keeps it separated. The flux prevents the solder from bridging, which is what you want. You know, you don't want, sorry, it's what you don't want. You don't want the solder to bridge. So you don't need to have a steady hand. You just need to be able to run the soldering iron across the solder. And if you got enough flux on it, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Like I said, it's not necessarily the cheapest hobby to get into, but it's not expensive either. Like I said, you can work up to buying a soldering iron. You can work up to buying a, you know, a massive soldering station. There's a soldering station I would really like to get. It's got an extractor fan on it. It's got all kinds of stuff that I think would be really, really cool and really fun to do. But you don't need that. You really don't need that. What you need is a fan to keep the fumes away. Maybe a face mask, perhaps. And a project to start on. You know? It's not that big of a deal. Trust me on this one. I don't have particularly good stability with my hands either, but I'm a really good painter. I'm really good at painting miniatures. And that's because you figure things out. If it's something you want to do, and don't feel like I'm pressuring you into it. That's not the point. I just want to encourage you. It's not as difficult as it may seem. It's not as hard as it may appear. And you'll see a lot of people, like I said, go watch Salem Technologies is a great channel. Go watch Macho Nacho. Go watch Kuzalix. And they will all say the same thing. I don't have a particularly steady hand. But their entire YouTube channels is based around soldering. So don't let that be. Obviously, if you can't do soldering or grilling or anything like that in your apartment because of fire issues, that's fine. That's fair enough. That is understandable. I get it. I understand. That is an impassable obstacle. While you are in the apartment that you're in, you can't do it. I get it. I understand. But if you don't have that obstacle, don't let my hands are unstable be the obstacle, because it really isn't. You will learn. I promise you, you will learn. And I know that because I did. But on that soldery bombshell, I feel like I'm gonna have to end the stream now. I really want to keep chatting about these things, I really do, but unfortunately it has reached the point where I'm gonna have to say goodbye. Oh, Noctum, welcome to the stream. My hands are unstable too, but I used to do that kind of stuff. Exactly, yeah. Yeah, you find ways around it. You find ways to... I have literally seen someone... Now, this is crazy, right? I have literally seen someone with really bad shaky hands. And what they learned to do when painting miniatures was vibrate their other hand that was holding the miniature in unison with their hand, with their shaking hand. They synchronized their shaking and they were able to paint really well. I saw this and I'm like, why is that? It was one of the guys. He was in the UK. I think he was in the, if I remember correctly, it was the Cardiff store. I'm watching this guy and he's painting. His hands are really shaky, and I talked to one of the staff there. I said, why is that guy shaking his miniature while he's painting? And he says, he's not shaking the miniature, he's actually got a nervous tick in his right hand. So his hand is constantly shaking and like seriously, like, what's it called? Parkinson's style shaking, full on tremors in his right hand. I didn't ask what he had wrong with him or anything, but he had this tremor in his right hand, so he couldn't paint. But he learned to synchronize his left hand with his right hand to be able to paint. That's insane. It's amazing what the human body and the human brain can do. But yeah, he was actually a really good painter, considering the fact that he had, like, I'm gonna say cerebral palsy or something like that. But yeah, he had this nasty tremor in his right arm, and he was able to paint by synchronizing his left arm. Nuts. Absolute nuts. Absolute legend. And even going further than that, the drummer of Def Leppard only had one arm. One of the greatest drummers in the world. He only has one arm. Don't let a little tremor get in the way of doing a hobby that you are going to love. If it's something you're interested in, don't let that get in your way. Because you might end up loving it, and you may not experience it if you don't take that leap. So I will always encourage you to take that leap. I mean, look at, there's a speedrunner. There's a, oh, what's it? Shadows Die Twice. Shadows Die Twice? What's the name of that game? It's a Souls-like. There's a speedrunner for that game who is a quadriplegic. There's a speedrunner for that game that's a quadriplegic. You can do the thing. I believe in you. I believe in you. If it's something you want to do, you will find a way. And I believe in you. I believe you can do it. I wouldn't want to anyway. I tried fixing one of my 3DSs and broke the R buttons. Well, now you might be able to fix them. Now you might be able to fix it. I busted one of my R buttons. Actually, I think it was the L button. I broke an L button on one of my 3DSs when I opened it up. I realized I hadn't put the screw in properly. Not the screw, the spring, sorry. I hadn't put the spring in properly and it had gotten loose. So that's why the L button wasn't working. But I did fix it in the end. I opened it back up and redid it. But yes, I need to go. I need to get food. And then I'm going to be back in 2.5 hours time with Resident Evil 9 Requiem. It's been amazing to see you, Noctum. Thank you for coming by. Hopefully we'll see you more often because I'm going to be doing these streams. Actually, do you know what? Let me just buzz on over to the schedule screen. Alrighty. So, ooh, hello. I'm glad that works. It refreshes now. I'm glad it refreshes now. That's better. Okay. So what we're going to be doing from here on out is we're going to be doing Tea with Aneuryn on Wednesdays and Fridays at midday. Midday AEST, so that was 3.5 hours ago. Actually, 3 hours, 40 minutes ago. So if you are able to come and join us for Just Chatting stream, we're going to be doing that, like I said, Wednesdays and Fridays. Mondays will usually be the day that I post the loading zone. But if the Tea with Aneuryn streams go really well, I may do the Tea with Aneuryn streams on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and then we can post the loading zone on Sunday night. I think that might work better, because on Sunday I don't stream at all, and it means that there's something that's going out on Sunday. So that might be a better move. But yeah, 2 streams a day on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Looking forward to it, honestly. Sorry, just haven't been feeling that good lately, so I haven't been in the energy to be sociable. That's fine. Nah, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. That's all good. You don't have to be sociable if you don't want to. I always appreciate the lurkers as well. I do appreciate that, Noctum. I really do. But things are going well. Things are going really well on the channel. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the expansion that we have just done on this channel. The new stream schedule is looking really good. Hopefully the video, the loading zone, is going to be a regular thing that I'm going to be able to put out. And with the fact that I'm going to be waking up earlier to be able to stream at midday, that does mean that I hopefully will be able to wake up earlier on days that I'm not streaming, and then I've got all day to actually do stuff that I need to do, like updating overlays, like going out and buying some hardware. I need to get myself a network switch because I'm so frustrated. I'm so frustrated right now with the fact that I've got my Xbox and my Nintendo Switch don't do well when connecting to the internet via Wi-Fi, because the Wi-Fi is over the other end of the house. But I do have a wired connection in my office, so I want to get a network switch so I can connect my Xbox and my Switch 2 directly into the wired connection. So I do need to pick one of those up. I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to do that tomorrow, actually. There's a few things I need to do tomorrow, but that's one of the things that I think I want to do tomorrow. Yeah. Hopefully. We'll see. But yeah, new schedule. New memberships are open. YouTube wants me to let everyone know that memberships are open. Please do check out memberships if that's something. If you want to help support this channel, best way to do so is going to be through memberships, super chat, stuff like that. And YouTube wants me to tell you about it. They keep posting it in my what's it called, the dashboard. Into the YouTube Studio dashboard, it says, don't forget to tell your followers that you've got memberships open. There you go, memberships. Moving on. Moving on. So, yeah, like I said, we're going to be back tonight at 6 p.m. with Resident Evil Requiem. Tomorrow, we're not going to be streaming. On Friday, it's going to be Tea With Aneuryn at midday, AEST. And Monster Hunter Stories 3, Twisted Reflection at 6 p.m. on Friday. Then on Saturday, we've got no stream in the morning, Resident Evil Requiem in the evening, and Sunday is going to be no streams. And then we're back to Monday. So that's what the schedule looks like. I hope to see you guys again soon in the very near future. Hopefully in the next 3 hours. And that is going to be all from me. So be good to yourselves. Be excellent to each other. Play more video games. And until I see you, peace, love, and high scores. Good night, everyone. Wait, no. Goodbye, everyone. See you later, everyone.